Yo, it's your boy dropping bars in that T-Pain vibe. Auto-tune on fleek, cause Crimson Desert got me feeling alive. Pearl Abyss cooking up magic, leaving other games in the dust. This ain't no hype train derail, nah, this the real must bust. Crimson Desert, oh baby, it looks too good to be true. But I swear on my controller, it's hitting like a boss move. Combat so slick, got me dancing in my seat. Other studios sleeping, they can't even compete. Desert dreams riding high, making them all look lazy. Pearl Abyss ballin', got the industry going crazy. Yo, the combat straight fire, like a combo chain on steroids. Dodging, slashing, parrying, it feels like I'm in the void. It sounds fake, like nah, that can't be real, but yo, it is. Enemies swarming, but my skills got them dismissed. Hordes on the screen, like a million at once, no lag. Other games stutter, but this one's got the brag. Destruction physics popping off, walls crumbling down. Blowing up the spot, making rubble on the ground. Too good, yeah, it's blowing my mind. Mountains ain't just horses, they flip the script this time. That Crimson Desert, oh baby, it looks too good to be true. But I swear on my controller, it's hitting like a boss move. Combat so slick, got me dancing in my seat. Other studios sleeping, they can't even compete. Desert dreams riding high, making them all look lazy. Pearl Abyss ballin', got the industry go. It's time. Riding through the sands on wolves, howling at the moon, then switch to a dragon breathing fire. Boom! Mech stomping heavy, crushing foes underfoot. Crazy mounts got me thinking, what the hell, this is cute. Boss fights insane, dodging laser spikes and flames. Ability stacking up, weapons changing the game. Swords, bows, magic blasts, arsenal so deep. Other studios watching, probably losing sleep. Crimson Desert, oh baby, it looks too good to be true. But I swear on my controller, it's hitting like a boss move. Combat so slick, got me dancing in my seat. Other studios sleeping, they can't even compete. Desert dreams riding high, making them all look lazy. Pearl Abyss ballin', got the industry going crazy. Yo, the world's alive, sandstorms raging, enemies everywhere, but destruction's on point. Physics got the flare, bosses towering high with moves that twist and turn. Abilities flying, got my adrenaline burn. It all looks so epic, makes a competition weep. Pearl Abyss leveled up while others hit the snooze and sleep. Crimson Desert, yeah, he's the king of the scene. Too good to be true, but it's real, know what I mean. Mounts wild, combat's tight, bosses bring the heat. Every other studio, they just can't take the seat. Too good, too good, yeah. Too good, too good, yeah. Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert, Crimson Desert, Crimson Desert, Crimson Desert.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Yo man, in Gotham where the bricks stack high, Lego Batman swoops lighting up the sky. Legacy of the Dark Knight, looking so fine, got that reggae rhythm. Games divine, click clack, plastic capes in the breeze. Villains trembling, falling to their knees. From Arkham's ashes, a Lego star's born. This game's so hot, it's Rasta reborn. Oh Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Rastabat cave with a brick built vibe. Lego Dark Knight keeping hope alive. Batarang snapping, built from Lego blocks. Penguins waddling, but he's out of stock. Suicide Squad tried, but he crashed and burned. Should have been like this, man, lessons learned. GTA 6, Vice City's looking shook. That's the funny tale. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Rasta Cave with the brick built vibe. Lego Dark Knight keeping hope alive. Yo, Rocksteady, what happened, man? Your squad game flop left us all withdrawn. Lego's got the mantle, carrying the flame. A brick built Batman running the game. GTA 6 calling yo, we're scared. Lego Bruce Wayne got 'em unprepared. God bless the bricks, this game's the one. 2026 Batman's having too much fun. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Fade out with the bass in the Gotham lights. Lego Batman, Irie taking flight.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Again, it is always so funny to me when we're doing these. And it's like some newcomers will come in and be like, oh, what's this song? And I respect the tools that made these songs because they can pass an initial sniff test. But like, do you really think a group of talented musicians came together and produced a song on Lego Batman, the upcoming video game, and how GTA 6 needs to watch out because the real game of the year just arrived? Probably not. It is like cheap AI garbage, but it's still funny. Okay, it's still funny. But yeah, actual talented musicians certainly have better things to do. Anyway, how are you guys doing? Are you vibing? Are you rocking and rolling? Hopefully you are. Hopefully you are. Let's see. Real quick, Mercurial Funk, thank you for the 5. Hey Luke, rewatched your Nemesis System video and wondered if remasters of the games are also off the table. It's been 11 years since the first game. I will say, of any game that frankly, in my opinion, deserves more love, more appreciation nowadays, it's Shadow of Mordor. I mean, bro, those games were goated. They won like Game of the Year awards back in the day. These things were fantastic, and they get no love. The studio, of course, is dead. So that's a problem. That's a big oopsie. Makes it kind of hard to do stuff. And while I do think that Warner Brothers, like, they have to be aware how big it is. I think that, and they own the rights. I mean, they could do it if they wanted to. I think they struggle to get anything out the door, much less remasters and remakes and stuff. So I think it would make lots of money if they were to do a remaster or something, or a remake. But I don't think they know who they would assign it to. And they struggle to put anything out the door. So I just don't think that that's what, I don't think it's likely to happen, unfortunately. And the other piece is, what was his name? Haddad, I think. David Haddad. This guy, former president of Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. This guy was previously the head of Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, all of the video games, everything like that. He was the guy in charge of it. And reportedly, allegedly, people who spoke to, I think it was Jason Schreier who did the article on it. He, what's the word? There's a technical business term for it. Sucked. He was just bad. He apparently wouldn't like commit to anything, people would come and give him like proposals for projects, and he would just be like, yeah, we'll revisit it later in like 6 months, and then never revisit it. Apparently Hogwarts Legacy being successful was like kind of an accident because they just were making the game and he wouldn't like review stuff, and it was like constantly bashing their head against the wall because anything he touched and was really involved in sucked ass, like Suicide Squad, or the eventually canceled games from all sorts of different studios, Gotham Knights, all of that stuff. The stuff that he didn't pay attention to actually ended up doing better, which is funny. But he left like a year ago. As you can see, Variety reported it. Warner Brothers Games chief David Haddad to exit exclusive. He spent 12 years in the division, and it's kind of crazy because like literally from the time that he entered in like the 2012 era, he like Shadow of Mordor was basically done at that point. And after that, everything that he started actively working on started sucking. So like, you know, how do you screw up Shadow of Mordor? You turn it into Shadow of War with crazy loot boxes, an 80-hour endgame grind that you can pay to get out of, all sorts of nonsense. That's this guy. This guy right here. So he's gone now, but Warner Brothers still has lots of problems and headaches that they're trying to deal with because they are kind of rudderless at the moment. But we'll see if they're ever able to sort it out, because they have some amazing IP. They've got games like this that they could do remakes and remasters. But we'll see if they ever do it. I guess I shouldn't say that they definitely have the rights, because this is Lord of the Rings, and Lord of the Rings is now owned by, the video game rights are owned, I think, by Embracer Group. Or did they sell them? They might have sold the rights to somebody else. Was it Amazon maybe? I'm not sure they own the rights currently, but I frankly don't know how that works when it comes to remakes or remasters. Like, does that affect it? If they made the game already with the rights, did they agree to have the rights to do remakes or remasters? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. So who knows? We'll see. But I agree, this needs more love, because these games are fantastic. And if you've not replayed them in a while, you definitely should, because they're fire. And you're going to play it and see the Nemesis system and get really sad that they've done nothing with it for going on a decade, because the last game was 2017. We're headed into 2026, friends. 2026. We're almost a decade out from Battlefront 2.
At Dragon of Dojima 1998 donated $10 through Super Chat. This Super Chat took 2 years to send because I live in Janesville, Wisconsin. I live here a horse farm, a former pheasant farm, and wheat fields.
Wow.
Give you an idea of what the internet is.
That's a deep cut to last stream when the former head of Xbox said was referencing, why would it wasn't him that said it was one of the other like senior people within Xbox that was like, why would you live there? when asked about like rural farmers and stuff, what about people in like Janesville, what should they do if they don't have an always online internet connection for their console? He's like, move. Loser. Just get a 360, bro. Yeah. Oh, that's a deep cut. Thank you for that $10. Very generous. And I'm glad to hear that your dial-up connection eventually allowed you to send that. I appreciate you. so dumb. Just move. Can you imagine? Again, just imagine the gall of being in that position where you need players to buy your crap. And you have the gall to go, just move. Stop talking to me. Gross. Brokey. Like, it's unbelievable. But that's just how they do it. That's how they did it back then. That's how they did it back then in that 2013 era. Now they've gotten better about hiding it. They just don't talk about it so abruptly and like directly, but back then, they would just say it. They just say it. Is the grind still there for Shadow of War with the loot boxes removed? No, it's been totally overhauled. And I did that video on it that ended up doing very well. What's funny is it's always the videos I think that are going to do badly that end up being like the biggest ever. Because if I just look up Shadow of More, sorry, this picture of Jeff is just getting me. This is just hilarious. Shadow of War. Yeah, look, it did 1 million views. I remember when we posted this, it did all of like 30,000 in the first week, and I was like, well, that's a dud. And then it ends up blowing up to over 1 million. It's crazy. But in this video, I went back and I tried again. But what was interesting is a lot of the comments on it were referencing, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I never had those problems. I played it a few years ago and it was great. I was like, yes, after they stripped all that stuff out. Like, what do you, yes, I agree. The point is that they changed it, you know? It's not like that anymore, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Thankfully, though, it has been fixed. They stripped out a lot of the grind. It's still, you can still feel that it was built around loot boxes because of how many different little currencies and little bitty things there are to swap in and out. It's very clearly, like, I think overinflated in that way. But yeah, it's still a good time. Yeah. The thing is, when there's something that toxic, it really is like a cancer, you know, like you have a gigantic tumor on your arm and like, yeah, we can fix it. We just got to cut off the arm. Or, oh, you've got some necrosis of the foot. We can fix that. We'll just cut it out. And then you don't have a foot anymore, but at least there's no more necrosis, right? So it's not killing the entire system anymore, but you can definitely tell that it's not there. Whoops, wrong button. You can definitely tell that something was removed, you know? Apparently Embracer Group has the Lord of the Ring games rights. Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure if Embracer sold the rights or not. I don't know. Are you going to talk about the statue? Yes. Yes, should we do that now? Should we do that now? Let me say thank you real quick to all of these guys. I read that one, Okay, Iceman, thank you for the 20 months. Ooh, baby. Thank you for that. Hey, Luke, have you taken a look at the Arc Raiders videos with the developers talking about how they made the game? Yes, I have seen some of the clips. I'm not sure if it's the type of thing you guys would like to check out on stream as well, but it is very interesting. And as I've said for a long time, that studio, Embark, they don't get nowhere near enough love. At least they haven't for a long time. Like, they were doing the finals and they were doing destructible environments well before like Battlefield 6 kind of reignited the love for destruction in games like that. And like the finals never really popped off as much as it probably should have, but now they're getting the love, and it's a bunch of former DICE developers and stuff. So like they are legends of old school Battlefield, and now they're really showing they know what they're doing. You know, they know what they're doing. People are eating it up. Tell you what. And then over on Twitch, thank you, Jordan, for the sub with Prime, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate you. Sharp C, maybe. Thank you for joining us today. Glad to have you. Good to see you. What do you think of the Gothic 1 remake? I have not really checked it out. I know some people were upset about something with it. We had somebody in chat complaining about it. I'm not sure what it was, though. I've already forgotten. Sorry. I don't remember, but I remember somebody being pissy about it. Who knows? In the modern day, it's hard to tell if people are being pissy for good reasons or for bad reasons. Usually, it's both. I don't know. But what statue are we talking about? This. So let's talk about this. New segment for the masses. Prep your asses. So our friend, our Lord and Savior, Geoff Keighley, he posted a picture out of nowhere, in the middle of nowhere, a picture of demons, an armed crocodile thing. Like, it's a crocodile, but it's got an arm. They're like coming out of it, a bear's head. Okay. These like viney things. Oh, it's weird. It kind of looks like a door as well. Interesting, strange. Daniel says Black Ops 8. Can you imagine if that's what this was for? After all of this, it's just Black Ops 8. They're like, yeah, It's even worse than before. But he posted this, and then he did a follow-up tweet. He did follow-ups on the Game Awards account, as Synth Potato retweeted, with coordinates, replying to that original tweet, this one. And to their credit, somebody actually drove out to the location and went to get pictures of it. And like Trio Doug said this, drove out there to the location to see it. It is actually there, and got some pictures, some up close pictures. It's an actual door statue, whatever thing. Got some videos, and apparently there were staff there. So he refers to staff there were all pretty hush hush about what it's for. Makes sense. But apparently it's like being guarded. There's actual staff there, which fair, because this thing would be vandalized in a second if it were left alone, I'm sure. So the second the kick streamers show up, dude, it's game over. They'll just plow a car into it. But this naturally got a lot of people talking, especially as the days went on. Synth Potato posted this. Apparently it lights up at night, which is genuinely really cool. And you can see he refers to a Diablo 4 expansion. This is because Jez Corden, who works for Windows Central, I believe, said it's Diablo, like a Diablo expansion and a little bit more. And so that's kind of where we landed, is that a lot of people are like, okay, well, I guess it's Diablo. Okay. Which Diablo, they spend a lot of money on marketing. It kind of passes the gut vibe check. Like, okay, I could see this being Diablo. It's kind of a, but there's that. Some people said maybe it's Path of Exile 2 and it's going to be an expansion for that or something for that. That would also be really cool, but that's kind of where people landed. However, we just had an update this morning. Something surprising. So over on the Reset Era forums, you can see people posted this, started chatting about it and discussing it. And there is somebody that is active on these forums, specifically the one and only Jason Schreier. And he replied to this and said, no idea where Jez is getting that. Specifically, he replied, no idea where Jez is getting that, referring to it being for Diablo. But this statue is not teasing the Diablo 4 expansion. Quote, I don't currently plan on reporting what it is. Sorry, but it's a good one. Some people are drawing the connection to another PlayStation IP that is coming next year, specifically Saros. Could totally see that. It doesn't, to me, other than like multiple kind of stretched out arms, it doesn't look like Saros beyond like, I don't know, initial checks. Like it just, it's too specific with a lot of its imagery for it to be not close at all to this. Like if it were this exact crown, I'd be like, okay, we're talking. If it was this exact number of like actual hands at the end of each of these tentacles, okay, we're talking. But I'm like, I don't know, man, like multi-armed god figure versus multi-noodle armed ball. I don't know. I'm not sure if I buy the Saros thing. Maybe, but maybe not. Other guesses that are going around, hear me out, Final Fantasy VII. Lords of the Fallen 2. Some are saying God of War or The Elder Scrolls 6. If Corey comes by, we'll ask him. If he comes by chat, we can ask him. Corey. But frankly, like, there's a couple little things where, like, okay, the bear, we could be like, oh, well, that could be Atreus. Or, sorry.
Atreus.
That could be Atreus. I don't know about the crocodile arm thing. Maybe some have suggested maybe it's like the spin-off 2.5D 2D God of War game, but that's been rumored for a while, and it's rumored that it's also going to go back to like Greek mythology. Specifically, it's going to explore like Kratos's father figures or something. I don't know. It's been reported in who knows if it ends up actually, you know, materializing that way, but that's supposedly close to being revealed and launched. So maybe I'm not sure though. Like this could be. Okay, hold on. Buckle up for Cope. Ready, everyone? Buckle in. It looks hellish, a little hellish, does it not? Little hellish. Who said Clash of Clans 2? How dare you? Can you imagine, dude? No. There's a game which was familiar to God of War fans, okay, back in the day. I've talked about it on stream numerous times, because it's also one that I really ate it up. And man, this is pure cope. But it's a game called Dante's Inferno.
At the midpoint on the journey of life, I found myself in a dark forest, for the clear path was lost.
This is an EA game, by the way. Can you imagine them doing something like this now? Some of the best art direction of like any game I played in those like formative years, this transition between like the 2D cutscenes and flashbacks and then the actual gameplay, really good. But it was a God of War-esque game, as you can see, hack and slasher, but it would just casually transition. Let me see. Go to hell. Where's the transition to hell? It's like right about here. He gets stabbed. Oh no. Oops. Collapses. You have a boss fight against the Grim Reaper. Casually. Little tutorial boss fight. Oh wait, there's a little bit of Booba here. If I'm not careful, you will see Booba. And I know you want to see Booba, but for the sake of the stream, we can't have Booba. Here it is. It's like literally the church opens up, the cross falls, you run over, and then like it literally transitions into hell itself. And it's just crazy. There's all sorts of insane boss fights in here. If you've played the game, you know the Cleopatra boss fight. Bro, you talk about Booba. That boss fight will never leave your brain, okay? Not necessarily in a good way, okay? Like, if you dare look up the Cleopatra boss fight from this game, it's scarring. But I'm sure you guys are gonna look it up and be like, actually, Luke, that's pretty sweet. But there's just a lot. Like, there's also the fight or the like ship. What is the name of the boat that ferries you? Is it just the ferryman? I don't remember. But there's all these, and specifically like as you're fighting and climbing on these walls, I gotta rewind it. There's moments where like you're literally climbing up these walls and there's all these like souls in here. There's also moments where you can punish or absolve sinners that you find in the environment, like famous people throughout history, and you can absolve them of their sins with a little mini game like this, or you can damn them to hell. And you see all the gnashing of teeth and all the souls trapped in the walls everywhere you go. It's pretty intense. And this very vaguely reminds me of that same vibe. But let's be perfectly honest, that's not what it is. Almost certainly this is going to be like a, knowing Jeff Keighley, it's probably going to be for like a mobile game or something. I don't know. I wouldn't get my hopes up too much. You know, keep your hopes low, expectations low, and you'll never be disappointed. And that's my policy with this. I think it could be cool. It could also end up being something that's just spend a lot of money on a big marketing stunt. And to be fair, it's an exciting one. It's interesting, but yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm interested. The fact that Jason Schreier pointed out and said that it's a good one. I'm like, okay, so it's not like a no-name nothing that you've never heard of. It's interesting. And honestly, I miss this type of marketing. I miss these kind of marketing stunts, which are mixing IRL stuff with online media. I love this way more than just an obscure tweet or something. And it's not the first time either. Like, again, part of the reason it made me think of Dante's Inferno is because this is, again, a slight tangent, but game specifically here. They did a marketing stunt with Dante's Inferno back when it launched in 2010, where controversy. Yeah, look at this. Is this it? Comics related media. They specifically, there was a problem where there were a bunch of people protesting it outside of E3 and like walking around with picket signs and stuff. And it turns out that they had hired a group of fake protesters to pretend. Prior to Dante's Inferno's release in June 2009, a protest began at E3 2009 in Los Angeles to oppose the game. Around 20 protesters claiming to be from a church in Ventura County held up signs that called the game sacrilegious and labeled it possibly insensitive to people's beliefs. Protesters even went as far as calling EA the Antichrist. This led to EA being accused by many people of staging the fiasco to use it as a marketing host. A few days later, it was officially confirmed by EA spokesperson Tammy Scatcher, I'm not sure, that they had hired people to protest the game and that there was no actual protest. Dude, the marketing balls to go and like hire fake protesters to call yourself the Antichrist. That's baller. That's next level intense. And then it kind of spun and reinforced this because, as you can see, hell is not a game. These are some of the photos of the signs they had people. Cheat codes won't save your soul. Honestly, pretty funny. But they're all fake protesters. And then after it was revealed that they had faked the protest, actual protest started, which got them what they wanted. But pretty funny. Like, they don't do that kind of thing anymore. Nowadays, it's like, we'll just pay some TikTokers to call it the best game I've ever played. But back in the day, man, they would do stuff like this. It was baller. Anyway, that's beside the point. This cool split ball noodle arm door with demons does look interesting. It looks cool. I will not pretend to know what it's for. I would just bet money that it's probably not for whatever you think it's for. As I choke on my own throat. I don't think it's for whatever you think it's for. I think it's going to be something like kind of out of left field and like, huh, okay. I will say they're spending a lot of money on this. I don't know what Jeff charges for a tweet. Probably a decent sum, especially because he also tweeted it from the Game Awards account as well, which I also don't think is cheap. And then they actually built this statue. Like, this is next level. This is probably, they commissioned an artist to carve this and sculpt it. But I mean, it's good quality work. I mean, it's very good quality work. So I have no idea what it is. There's this right here, this like serpent, which some people have said looks like Jormungandr or like maybe it's the world serpent, and it you can see it kind of makes its way up around the door over here. It does seem to have some Norse inspirations throughout it. People saying it's a new God of War. I don't know, man. I think everybody's expecting the new God of War to go to Egypt, and then the spin-off game is going back to Greece. And this to me seems very like Nordic hell. So I wouldn't put money on that. But I just genuinely don't know. Some people are saying Scorn 2. Some are saying Darksiders 4. I see in chat. I don't know. Diablo Immortals 2. This time we know for a fact you all have phones. You all tweeted this. So I don't know. Would Doom make sense? I don't frankly think so. Like, Doom just came out earlier this year. What would this be for? Like, what would they even be teasing? A DLC or an expansion? Maybe, but this doesn't give me Doom vibes. Like, you know, Doom has a very particular vibe. This does not give me Doom vibes. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm off base there, but I don't know. I don't know. My guess is it's probably something that's a deep cut. It might be a revisit to an old established franchise. It might be a new IP from a studio that we know of. But I just, my gut's telling me it's not going to be like, you know, God of War, back to hell. This time it's personal. I'm not getting that vibe. Goat Sim? Dude, no joke. It could be Goat Sim, considering some of their marketing tactics before. Like, what was that one Goat Sim trailer where it started out and people were like, what the hell is this? Yeah, this. CGP, Cash Grab Penitentiary. Remasters Ward.
Hey, you. You're finally awake. You were trying to cross the border.
Dude, they go so hard with their marketing stuff. It could unironically be like a he glitches into it. It could, no joke, be Goat Simulator. Never doubt Goat Simulator to come out and just do some insane stuff. Dude, the rain. Oh, this was genuinely hilarious. They did everybody so dirty. It was pretty freaking funny. So who knows? Who knows? If you're watching this stream clip, definitely tell me your guesses in the comments because I'm curious. I know some people are hoping for like Half-Life or something. I don't know. Some people are. They did this comparison. I don't know, man. Like, you see this? Okay, the armor with the split, it doesn't actually match Kratos's. His is overlapping individual pieces. And then these are just like plates, whereas this is like binded. So it doesn't actually match. It just vaguely matches. So sort of. This is a crocodile with human hands. And then this is just a normal crocodile with claw. Normal, like monster crocodile with claws. It doesn't have the human arm, which is like the most like significant thing about this design. So I don't see it there. With this, I don't know what this is supposed to be, a tree, and therefore it's tier. Is that what we're doing? And then the bear, and then Atreus the bear. Okay, yeah, it's a bear, but like there's a lot of games and IP that could have a bear. So again, I would not get your hope up for it being God of War. It's not impossible, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah. No, it's not God of War. You heard it here from Corey. It is not God of War. Thank you. Unless Corey's just saying that to get us thrown off the scent and it's actually God of War. Corey, you've done it again. You slide up. Dude, that's what all of these things are like nowadays, where it's like, okay, the developers said specifically. I got a comment on we did a video on Elder Scrolls not coming out until like 2028, and the comments were like immediately, well, I just think Todd's throwing people off the scent and it actually is going to shadow drop next year. It's like, bro, he's literally telling you no, and you're like, so you're saying there's a chance. It's just so stupid. Anyway, Corey's a mod. Yeah, I made Corey a mod because I wanted to know if it was the actual Corey when he came into chat. And so I made him a mod so I can see when he has the badge. Because we had one guy come in and try to pretend to be Corey. And I was like, okay, we're not doing that. So I made him a mod so we know when the real one pops in. But anyway, you heard it here first, everybody, from Corey. It is not God of War. Bada bing, bada boom. Bada bing, bada boom. Is Todd in chat too? Yeah, under an alt account. When he saw my wallpaper, he stopped chatting actively. I'm sorry. It's a funny picture, Todd. What am I supposed to do? Not have that as my desktop background? Of course. I freaking love it. It's so good. It makes me laugh every time. Because it's always like, you know, on Windows, how you can accidentally close all your windows by like reaching down to the bottom right. Occasionally I'll accidentally collapse all my windows and then I'm just jump scared by this. And it's very funny. Anyway, so who knows what it's for? But I'm excited to find out. And again, I just got to hand it to whoever's responsible for this. This is fun. So much marketing nowadays is soulless and kind of like, I don't know, it's too corporate. It's all TV commercials. And then like, I don't know. It's uninteresting. I tune it out. I'm one of those people that tunes it out when there's all the marketing is for like web banners and TV spots and stuff. I tune it out. This though, this is fun. I want more of this. Let's do more of this. This is cool. If you set a game in Colorado, put something in Colorado, let people go find it. You know, that level of like mixing adventure IRL stuff with the viral marketing, that's fun. It resembles a Vermina statue in the Elder Scrolls Online. Well, some people are saying it's just going to be an ESO expansion. So like Elder Scrolls Online, whatever the expansion would be called. And that I think is more possible than like ES6, because Elder Scrolls 6 I don't think we see for another, like, we might get a trailer next year, but like I seriously don't think that game comes until 2028 probably. Because again, like Phil Spencer knows timelines, and Phil Spencer said in an FTC deposition hearing, whatever the crap, in 2023, he said in that deposition that when he said, quote, when we're talking about Elder Scrolls 6, we're talking about a game that's 5+ years away. And I don't think he would just be like making stuff up in an FTC hearing. And I think he would be somebody who knows the timelines, right? And that would put it 2028 or later. So I just personally don't, and like video games when they're being built, it's not something where it's like, hey, we ended up ahead of schedule, we can release a year early. That's not how games work. You know, it just doesn't work that way. So I think ES6 is not going to be the thing, but it very well could be an Elder Scrolls Online expansion or something. That I think could be very, very possible. So we'll see. Just got a surgery. Also, Control 2 at the Game Awards or not? Yeah, there apparently is a trademark for Control. What was it? Control Renegade or Resurgence or something like that. Somebody in chat will know. But there was a trademark filed for Control that popped, and I think it's about time that we could see something else from them. And so, yeah, I think we probably see something Control related at the Game Awards. Yeah. Have you seen the video by Explorist, the controversial rise of Rockstar? I don't think so. I can Google it though. Maybe we check it out. That could be fun. Because we're all kind of used to it, but seriously, like back in the day, Rockstar, some of the stuff that they were putting out was like in the mid 2000s. It was like pure puritanical satanic panic levels of crap, and it was like video games are corrupting the youths. It was very, very common. So we'll see. It could be Witcher 4, but I doubt it. Well, the CEO or co-CEO of CDPR said in the latest earnings call that they will not have a Witcher 4 presence at the Game Awards. So, and like this is being retweeted by the Game Awards account, so I don't think it's Witcher 4, because whatever it is, it's going to be at the Game Awards. I don't know if they're going to reveal what it is before the Game Awards or if they're just going to keep it hush hush. I don't know, but time will tell. We're getting close. Trevor or Jacob, one of you guys should clip Corey saying it's not God of War. We can post it to Twitter, because I think people are going to continue hyping up God of War unless they hear that that's not what it is. Because already, I mean, I'm seeing right here, the statue's teasing a good one. God of War or something else is back on the table, y'all. So I think unless it's put down, it's just gonna be a thing. Why clip a lie though? Yeah, he's trying to trick us because it actually is God of War. Man. So who knows what that is? But yeah, that's what's going on behind the scenes. I can cope and hope that it's freaking Dante's Inferno, but let's be real, that's not what it is. let's be honest with ourselves. It's wearing layers inside the house time of the year. Yes. Well, I felt like such a grown-up today. I had to go get new license plates put on the car, and I had to go drop off dry cleaning. Who am I? Me? Dry cleaning? Can you imagine? Wow. You know? I felt like such a grown-up. I will say though, the new dry cleaning process, it does not feel sophisticated. Like back in the day, by back in the day, I mean like when I worked at a bank, right? Like in the last year of college, I went and had to dry clean a bunch of my shirts and stuff for work. And back then, like you'd go to the dry cleaners and you talk to the lady, and then she'd do all of it, get it all set, and then you hand them over on coat hangers, and it was very, very sophisticated. But nowadays, dude, it's all kiosks. So like they give you a bag and then they say cram as much into the bag as you can and then put it down the chute and you're good. And it like, so I'm like, oh yes, I'm bringing my clothes here to dry clean because they're delicate and I don't want to ruin them by washing them at home. So let me just cram it in the bag, cram it. And then it didn't feel right. You know, didn't feel right. Yeah, Corey, it's not gonna work. Cancel me. I don't care. Cancel me. Just my opinion. Oh wait, no, we just got confirmation of what it is. In Exile tweeted this. New leak just dropped. The Taco Boys, Wasteland 3. Dude, honestly, I'd play the crap out of the Taco Boys. I'd play the crap out of this. Tell you what. Taco Boys! Finally. Representation. Diversity is our strength, for real. Michael, thank you for the super chat. Could you look into The Witcher 3 possible DLC developed by Fool's Theory? I'm not sure how much there is to go into, because it's just kind of like... At some point, we'll see it. Hey, you're the guy that drinks candles. Love your content. Good to see you. I tried to wink there. Did it come off as a wink or did I just blink forcefully? Because I'm not, you know, some people, they're really good at winking and they can just like full flat face wink. I can't do that. So I just kind of, yeah, it doesn't work that great. Maybe it's the candles. Maybe that's what it's done permanent nerve damage. Let's see. Luke, you know how much Todd does, hold on. Luke, you know how much does Todd weigh? Asking for hip thrusts. I mean, a friend. Raphael. My God. My God. Just, huh. You know that deadpan face that the burnt peanut does? Just. That's what I'm feeling. Let's see. Also, I'm sorry to blow past this, Silver Kitten, but I remember you said you just got a surgery. Hopefully it went well. I mean, the fact that you're typing, I'd say is a good sign. But yeah, secret dance moves, not 691. Will I be at the Game Awards? I received an invitation from a partnered game that will be there. They asked me if I wanted to go and sit in their section with them. Very generous, very nice of them, but I declined. Because personally, frankly, I think it will be more fun probably if we're going to co-stream it and hang out and like react to it. I think that'll be more fun. But yeah. Who knows? Maybe, you know, I'll receive another invitation and it'll be an offer I can't refuse. But personally, like, they were willing to fly me out to go to the Game Awards and then like attend the after party. And that sounds fun. But like, again, I've been to Summer Games Fest twice now. And both times, like, I was sitting, the second time was better. The first time I was sitting next to this dude. He was in front of me. And he was wearing like massive cat ears as like headphones. And he had like a vlogging camera, like, you know, one of the little ones that's like a stick and then the ball on the gimbal thing. And for the entire show, he's talking to this camera, randomly doing cuts and being like, wow, that trailer was so exciting. I can't believe this. I can't believe they just announced this. This is crazy, guys. Crazy. It was the most depressing thing I've ever seen. It was very annoying too. Very loud. And then the people behind me were talking about fighting games the whole time because they revealed like an M. Bison character or something. This was 2 years ago, so 2024's Summer Games Fest. And the whole time they were just like, well, I usually do a Surge double round reach around with that character. Like, yeah, I've tried to do the Ultra Plus Platinum dive bomb and it doesn't really work. So instead I do the fist double down deep throat reach around. That works great. And I was like, guys, can we stop? Like, it was frustrating because I was like, I'm here to watch the show and game reveals and stuff, and they would not shut up. They just would not shut up. It was, I felt like such a Karen for real, but it was very annoying. And I was sitting like 5 rows behind Yong Ya when they did like the Sonic, because he was in the Sonic movie. It was whatever movie he was in. And did voice work for, and so he was like 5 rows in front of me. And the other thing is I was sitting also very close to the Batman Arkham, crap, what's the VR game? Batman Arkham, what was that called? Is it Arkham Shadow? Arkham Shadow? I was sitting right next to them and they were like over here, you know, just down a few rows. And bro, that moment where they revealed it, I don't know if you remember this, but they did the announcement where Jeff goes on stage. It's like, said something to the effect of, this is a series and a franchise many people love and have a lot of passion for, and yes, it's back. And this is right after the debacle of Suicide Squad. Everybody's like, why can't we get Arkham games again? They flash on screen in front of the whole audience and they're like, the Batman Arkham whatever, Batman Arkham Shadow. Everyone's like, oh, I remember the whole auditorium gasping. Oh. And then it says like exclusive to the Oculus Quest 3 or Meta Quest 3 or whatever. I have never heard such like intense, oh, like imagine 10,000 people collectively expressing vocal disappointment. It was unreal. Like, I've never felt in my life the energy in a room go, oh. It was amazing. It really was. And I felt bad for the devs because they did a good job. Like, that game is legitimately way better as a VR game than the one Rocksteady made. That was all of like 40 minutes long. Like, way better. They did a great job with that Batman Arkham Shadow game. it wasn't their fault that Jeff introduced it in a way that made it sound like it was going to be a new Arkham game. You know, he could have led off with a brand new VR game in a beloved franchise. Like, he could have done that, but instead it led to this confusion. But dude, I saw those guys, they were wearing their Batman Arkham Shadow shirts. The second the size hit, they all sunk down. I seriously felt bad for them. It was like, this should be your big moment, but instead it's kind of being taken from you because of how it was framed. You know, it was but yeah, all of that to say, Summer Games Fest, it's fun, but if you want to actually enjoy the reveals, being there in person is not the way to go. Same with like the Game Awards. I'm not winning any awards, so like I would just be there for the game reveals and seeing all of that. And I think there's a lot more fun to be had in like enjoying that with you guys than sitting in a big auditorium behind a guy with cat ears so I can't see in front of him while he very loudly reacts to everything. Just doesn't, it's not my vibe. Luke isn't burnt peanut confirmed. You can't confirm that. Oh man. Anyway, React Andy. Yeah, dude, for real. Well, it's just like I could go sit there alone. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just one of these days I'll go do it. But it's also like if there's a big moment, a big reveal, I would like to be able to enjoy it, you know? I'd like to be able to like instantly enjoy it with everybody. But yeah, anyway. Do. Okay. Is the Game Awards in LA or New York? It's all in LA. They are cool. They're cool events, and it's cool to meet people. But like, frankly, the main reason you go to the Game Awards or Summer Games Fest is for the stuff that happens outside of the event. So like at Summer Games Fest, you go to the summer play days, and there's a couple of parties that happen after the show, but mainly it's for summer play days, or I guess it's just play days, but you go for that. And that's a media only event. And then for the Game Awards, you're mainly going for the after parties. And I've spoken to multiple people who have gone to the after parties for the Game Awards. And that's where like you go and you do shots with Hideo Kojima. That's where you go and you run into Todd Howard in the bathroom. Like that sounded weird. That sounded weird. I've told this story before. I know a guy that was going to the bathroom at one of those parties and just looked over while he's washing his hands and Todd Howard's just standing next to him. It's like, that's what I'm referring to. I'm not saying you get what I mean. Moving on. But yeah, somebody's gonna clip that, god damn it. But that's where you have the most fun. That's where you have the most fun, frankly. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Oh, Jeff. Corey Balrog was just in chat on stream. And confirmed this is not God of War related. And Where did I put the screen cap? Let's see. Todd God just blessed. If Todd gets kidnapped, we have a suspect. How dare you? Yeah, Jacob, could you post it in the Discord so I can just reply that? It's in Frame. Are you able to post it to the Discord or send me the link on to the Frame thing? I can do that. Let's see. Do you think we were finally going to see the new Stranger Than Heaven reveal at the Game Awards? I think there's going to be a lot at the Game Awards that people are not expecting, personally. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises. I think. Do you think, let's see. Cole Walker, thank you for the 5. Love your video game recommendations. KCD2 is on my list. I'm also a bit of a board game guy. Do you have a set of favorite board games you love? Yeah, I mean, there's the party ones we play a lot with friends, which is like Betrayal at House on the Hill, or House on the Haunted Hill, or something like that. Betrayal is just what we call it, but Betrayal's a really good time, very fun. The board is different every game, which is also really fun. What's another one we've played recently? Obvious ones like Magic. What was what was that game? This one. Brass Birmingham. This one's a vibe too. I love like economy based games and like make number go up. Brass Birmingham is a really good time. It's also a strong recommendation. Those are the ones that I think of. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Okay. Look at Jacob with all the clips. Can't wait for the third. Just bought Flight Simulator for PS5. Waited years to play that on my console. Dude, Flight Simulator is such a vibe. This is the moment. This is the moment Jacob found it. Again, I would not get your hope up for it being God of War. It's not impossible, but we'll see. No, it's not God of War. You heard it here from Corey. It is not God of War. Thank you. Thank you. Unless Corey's just saying that to get us thrown off the scent and it's actually God of War. Corey, you've done it again. You sly dog. Dude, that's what all of these things are like nowadays. Where it's like, okay, that works. That'll do. That'll do. You guys are seeing how the magic happens. You're seeing in real time how we make videos, how we do it. Isn't that crazy? Do 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 do. Voila. Voila. Let's see. I want to play all the Truck Simulator games people were playing. Dude, I was talking to a guy I know. He's an actual like police officer, okay? Like he's a very hardcore professional dude. And he will never say this or open up about it. But bro, one day he had like a drink or two. And dude, he like went full mask off, total nerd, total dork. And he's like, dude, I can't stop playing Farm Simulator. I can't stop. I never thought I would care about farming. I can't stop. I've thought about quitting my job. It was like, you know, I'm the same kind of way. Like, would I ever think I would find pressure washing so satisfying? No. But Pressure Wash Simulator is a vibe, dude. It really is. It really is. Once you hit post, I will change my answer. Okay. He also added, yeah, it's one of the added addendums. He also just said it might be opposite day. So really, it could go either way. Who can say, really, at the end of the day, what's going on? Who can say? Dude, boy posted this. Witcher 3 DLC 2026, Witcher 4 2027, which is currently what it looks like is happening. Witcher Online, it's a multiplayer game. I don't know if calling it online is the right term, but Witcher 1 Remake 2029. Might even be earlier than that, but we'll see. These two might swap. Cyberpunk 2 2030, about right. Witcher 5 2031, that's what they're shooting for. Project Hadar, which is a brand new IP, is 2032, and then Witcher 6 would slide in 2020 or 2033 or 2034. And all of this is happening again with like BGS. It's expected that Elder Scrolls 6 probably launches somewhere in here, and then Fallout 5 launches somewhere over here. So CDPR is putting out all of these games in the same time that you're probably getting Elder Scrolls 6. Which is crazy, dude. Absolutely crazy. And that's assuming they don't do anything else in the middle. You know? Oh, Corey meant Gears of War. That's good. That's freaking funny. To be fair, he may have also meant Gears of War.
At Meta318 donated $10 through Super Chat. Hey Luke, I heard you had a degree in corporate finance.
Where did you hear that?
Has Valve's hesitancy with Half-Life 3 most likely been a cost-benefit analysis with Steam being the moneymaker, or has it been something else?
I think it'd be a lot of speculation. Personally, I don't know how big their dev teams are. I don't know. So it could be that they just didn't have, like, because they're also, what's that other, it's like not announced yet, but everybody's playing it through early access. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's their like MOBA inspired game. What is that called? Clockwork? No. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? What's that? Deadlock. Thank you. Deadlock. So they're making Deadlock at the same time that they're also doing this. So I don't know if they have the bandwidth to do 2-3 massive projects at the same time. Like that maybe, but I don't know. So it may honestly just be that they don't have the development capacity for it. I think also there's just the reality of, I think there's the reality of I think Gabe even talked about it in an interview once. Making a third game in a franchise or a trilogy is very, very difficult, because the common problem is that you will get the vision of the game, and then you put out the first game, and this is true of movies, novels, everything else, but like you put out the first version and you were constrained with budget, with time, you were trying to figure it out as you were working on it. So it's like close, it's on its way, but there's clearly things you can do in the sequel to crank all the dials up, right? And so then the second game or book or movie comes along, and then you crank up all those dials and you achieve the vision of what you wanted to do in the first game, but you just did it here in the second. Like, I think a great example of this is KCD2, where it's like the first game, you can see what they were trying to do, and like it was just still too clunky. It needed polishing and refinement here and there. These things needed to be tweaked and reworked. But then the second game comes and it's like, okay, they did it. You know, they did it. And with a third game, I'm not sure what else they would do. You know, like what is the next, what do you tweak from there? You know? So I don't know, man. I think that it honestly may just be that they don't have the development capacity, and that means that they have to pick their battles, and they chose other projects like Half-Life Alyx and Deadlock, and they pursued those things instead of doing a third game, which may just be very, 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 very difficult to ever live up to the hype. So just do something else, you know? It's not like they need the money. You know, they're doing just fine. They're doing just fine. So I think they could eventually get to Half-Life 3. I don't know if that's revealed at this year's Game Awards or a year or two from now. Who knows? But they don't need to, you know? They don't need to. Okay. Oh, I wanted to talk about this. Is going to be a fun one. This is going to be a fun one. Are you guys even ready? Also, shout out to Where Winds Meet. They've reached, this is insane. This is absolutely crazy. This is what happens when your game is free. 9 million players in 2 weeks. 9 million. That's insane. That's crazy. Well, it's free. Exactly. But it's a free game that does not look or play like a free game. You know, that's what's crazier about it. But this, honestly, it really makes me wonder if companies like Ubisoft, for example, are going to experiment with like massive open world, like adventure games like this, but being free to play. But I think, again, like the way that they monetized it with Where Winds Meet is very precisely only cosmetic, and they've already committed. They're like, we're never going to monetize power or ability. And I don't know if those other companies have the self-control. You know, I really don't know if they have the self-control. But we'll see. Yeah. Weren't there quality of life things that you could buy? I guess it depends on what you mean by quality of life things. I mean, it's cosmetics, things like, you know, different mounts, but all the mounts travel at the same speed. So you may have a horse, or you may be riding a dragon or standing on top of a goose that's running. But the speed is the same, you know, so it doesn't actually improve mechanically anything, but yeah. 6 out of 10 IGN. Yeah. And they also said Arc Raiders in their preview was like the most, what did they say? It was like the most, crap, what was the exact phrasing? It was like, it's the most underwhelming game we've ever seen. It was something like that. It was really stupid. The most okay game ever. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Briar Chafin, thank you for the membership. Welcome to No One Should Choose This. How dare you choose that? It's very generous. My goodness. Thank you, my friend. Very generous. Everybody be jealous of Briar. Everybody be jealous. You're allowed to be jealous now. Everyone envy. Swarm them in envy. That's what we do here. Oh man. Okay. Let me see if I had anything else before we get into this next one. Oh, this was, I just like this. I didn't realize this was a mod, but somebody asked, artists, show your most popular work. And so I'm guessing this is like a video editor or a game mod. I don't know. Either way, I think this is a vibe, and this should be the new little bit. But honestly, I think it works. I think it works. You know those live like wallpaper engine? I need this for my wallpaper on my desktop. You know, that would be the one thing that could replace Todd. The one thing. Okay, yeah. Saucy says I can edit the F out of a video, but I cannot mod. Okay, so it's a video, it's an edited video. Either way, it could still work as desktop background. Very well done, Saucy Noodle. That's freaking hilarious. It's so funny. Anyway, so there you go. There you go. Okay. This next thing we have to talk about, we got to get into it. I've wanted to talk about it for a while, and there's just no beating around the bush anymore. Okay, we got to do it. And then we have a couple of other things I want to do as well. I wanted to respond to a comment on our Star Citizen video, so we'll respond to that. And then I also wanted to, if we have time, look at the development cycle of Black Ops. But let me pull up.
As is custom among our kind, we do not plunge headlong into.
We do not plunge headlong. You guys recognize the voice? Do you know who that was? Do you know who that was? Maybe? No one's guessing it. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to guess it. I mean, you're just like a loser if you don't guess it, but totally fine. It's up to you, frankly. Cancel me. I don't care. Okay. Sorry, there's a lot of clips I wanted to reference, so I'm pulling them all up so I don't have to do it separately. Edward, yes, you're right. That was Mr. Edward Kenway. Mr. Edward Kenway. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready? Oh, Mr. Romeo is barking. He might want to come back in. Let me see if he's play barking or if he is like barking, because yes, they are different, and he's a funny guy. He'll bark for some reason. He thinks the tree is like a monster. We have a tree in our backyard, and he thinks it's like a monster trying to scare him sometimes. I think what it is when the wind blows and the branches sway, it freaks him out, and so he starts barking at the tree, and he like runs up and like whacks it and runs away, and then runs back up and whacks it. It's very cute. It's very cute, but yeah, he goes through waves where I'm like, is this a fun play bark or like a serious I need help bark? He's doing exactly that. I just checked the camera. He's beating that tree up. Okay, let's talk about this.
New segment. That was the worst thing I've ever heard. Oh my god.
New
segment.
You know what? Closer. We'll work with that. Okay. Fam, we have got to chat about one of the steepest, most severe fall-offs in gaming history, okay? Back in the day, we had stories that were told through careful and precise voice acting, motion capture performances that were compelling, that were emotional. Stuff like this.
As is custom among our kind, we do not plunge headlong into folly on the orders of a single madman, but act according to our own collective madness.
My name's Matt Ryan. I'm playing Edward Kenway in the game Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag.
Everyone snap in agreement. Snap. I saw this on Reddit that you're supposed to snap when you agree with something somebody says. So I'm doing that now. Dude, it's goated.
Edward's a quick-witted Welshman who leaves to seek his fame and fortune in Nassau at a young age. When we meet him, he's brash, rude, very selfish. He's presented with these different opportunities and different versions and ideas of ways of living, and you don't quite know which direction he's going to go. And then I think that's really an interesting dilemma.
We're outnumbered, mate. It's not the first time, Kenway. It won't be the last.
My name is Mark Bonner. I'm playing Blackbeard.
Load the heavy shot, lads!
Oh, it's a vibe. You know, it's a vibe. I would just watch this entire thing because I freaking love Black Flag, but I will, you know, that's a little beside the point. Ralph, yeah. So the reason I show you that is because back in the day, this is 2013-14 era Ubisoft, they were able to put these stories and motion captured scenes together that were just, they hit different, man. They hit different. And there's just nothing really like that in the modern games. Like, you remember this ending?
And all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't. So let
Oh,
the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all.
damn it, Edward, gonna make me tear up. It's so good. It's so good. Even now, a decade later, looking back on it, it's just so good, you know? Very well executed, well written, well performed. The music choice, it all just pops in. And now, you know, you fast forward, things have changed like a little bit within Ubisoft. So you know, I want to be clear. Times do change, but technology advances. Things that used to not be possible are possible now. Such as this. This is the latest content from Assassin's Creed. This is the newest, literally just dropped a handful of days ago on modern hardware A decade later, tons of advancements been done. More money's being spent on these games than ever. And this is what we see now.
Titan is on my heels. I must hurry.
Okay. So to be fair, Brandon says also brings a tear to my eye, but in a different way. Yes, indeed. Sorry, I'm gonna explode. So to be fair, let me see, where's the comment I saw. Oh, I don't see it. Oh god, I'm sorry. Somebody was like, is this fair to compare a crossover mission to the ending of a main game? That is totally fair to bring up, because this is technically a crossover mission that is optional and is free. I could still counter and be like, if this is the best you can put out, maybe don't put it out at all. But, you know, fair. It's a free crossover mission DLC thing. Sure. So there are plenty of clips that I could pull from, but I just literally looked up one. When you look up AC Shadows cutscenes, not good cutscenes, not bad cutscenes, you just look up AC Shadows cutscenes. These are the types of videos that pull up of people that are confused whether this is actual voice acting or whether this is AI generated, because both are so flat and devoid of any sort of variability.
You'll tell me where it is.
I do that, you'll have no reason to let me live.
So you won't tell me where it is?
No.
Then you're of no use to me at all. No.
Sorry, I forgot about that. I forgot how suddenly it happens. So much like Nawi in that clip, this scene took my breath away. I think I think it's a mixture of things. Okay, I think there's a mixture of a lot of things going on here. On the one hand, in the case of Black Flag, this was pre-RPG era. So they did not have anywhere near as much dialogue to handle as they do in like Shadows or in Odyssey or any of those. Okay, that is a major component. And when you scale up the amount of dialogue you're dealing with in a big open world adventure game or RPG, you have to change your processes. You can't do it the same way you used to. Now, what a lot of studios have figured out is that you can handle things differently. So you can have side quests that are not motion captured. You can have huge chunks of the main story that are not motion captured, and are just using procedural tools to handle facial animations and stuff, where it can look at the dialogue being spoken, attach that to certain phonemes, certain consonants and things which associate themselves to mouth shapes, and you can have the engine basically run all of that stuff for you for lip sync and everything else. And you can set up really straightforward tools to change poses and stuff. There's even in the making of the Witcher 3 documentary, they show some of the tools they used for that. And it literally is like dragging and dropping blocks. So as like a minute of dialogue plays out, they just drag and drop different blocks of poses basically for Geralt, and maybe gestures, which is why you'll see characters, you know, shift to a new block, then they shift to a new block, and then they gesture because that block plays out, and then they gesture to you, and then that block plays out. And that's how these things typically work. You can move very quickly with it because it's procedural. You don't need to hand do everything or motion capture everything, which is very data and time intensive. But with AC Shadows, I mean, I think that there's no denying that something has just gone wrong. You know, it's just weird. This dialogue is not just written, in my opinion, very dryly and poorly. It's something I mentioned in my review when the game first dropped, is that The game is very, very dry. It's also been phrased as like, and to be clear, I've not been the only one to say this, but it's been phrased as like the game, everybody in the game seems like they're bored and doesn't want to be there. It seems like everybody is just reading off of a piece of paper. And I think part of that is the quality of the writing. Part of it is also the procedural generated animations are very, very, very flat and just like nothing happens here. They're just standing arms down. Like we talked about the Witcher example with like the gestures and shifting stances and stuff. None of that's happening here. And to be fair, apparently this is like a cultural thing. Not that that's like, you know, a get out of jail free card, but the reason I say that is because apparently there is a thing in Japanese culture where gesturing a lot is just not something you do. You tend to stand very straight. The word I've heard a lot of people use is stoic. It's just different. And so as you can see in this comment I pulled from a Reddit post about all of this, they said, I think a lot of people might be finding difficulty with Nawe and other Japanese characters is that the English voice actor seems to be replicating the Japanese speaking style of more monotone, even speaking. Japanese don't use the same method of stressing sounds in words like English does. You can see how different Nawe is when she speaks to strangers versus, say, her father. Yasuke is more emotive with speech as he's not Japanese, I suspect anyway. Hence, I'd like to know if this was intentional. And then you can see for clarity, I think this is good. I like the voice performance. And I think if the direction was to use a Japanese speaking style, then that was a smart decision. But here's the thing. I think ultimately, if you are watching a cutscene or a scene in a movie or a TV show or something, and your interpretation is that it's lame, it's poorly written, it's monotone, it's boring, everybody seems uninterested in being there, and that's like the consensus among everybody that engages with that content, something went wrong. You know, whether it was intentional or not, something went wrong. You know, like if I put together a video game and then I have it as like, I have this really cool idea where I'm going to have a moment where if a player screws up something in a quest, I'll have the game actually crash and the game will close itself. And it's like a meta breaking of the fourth wall. And I'm intentionally crashing the game as a punishment for getting the puzzle wrong, but I'm breaking the fourth wall. I'm going full Hideo Kojima on this, you know? All the player's perception is going to be is that something went wrong. You know, is that the game crashed and I'm not having fun right now. It doesn't matter if it was intentional or not. Something still went wrong. And if the customer and the player perceive something as wrong, something went wrong. In the same way that like you can justify all the ray tracing stuff and the benefits of it, but if players tend to look at the ray traced graphics and prefer the non-ray traced ones because of better performance and in some cases it even looks better, something still went wrong. Even if there's a reason or justification for it, it still went wrong. And in this case, I think there is something to be said where when I went out to the studio in Quebec back in January, I think it was, I spoke to some of the people making AC Shadows and they said very openly, like, no, we had to totally like scrap a lot of the motion captured stuff we had done for AC Odyssey because the gestures and the behaviors were different. So they had all of these systems. Sorry, you can hear Romeo. I think he just realized I'm here, so he's barking down the window. I'll take him up in a second. But you can see all of these different things. This is the same team, but a solid like 7 years before. And I feel like it's night and day, not just with the cinematic quality, but with the posing, with the gestures, with all of the animation, everything. Maybe I'm coping, but tell me in chat, does this not just look way better than what Shadows is doing? I'm not talking necessarily about the gameplay, but I mean like in these cutscenes. Like just that one shot, I feel like there's more life in that shot than anything in Shadows. And I understand if you're saying, well, culturally in Japan, they would behave differently if we're being historically accurate. But like, okay, the perception is still that something is going wrong, you know? Stop yapping, show us the dog. I do have a picture of him, actually. I can show you. I just took this morning. I actually had the flash on, so it reflected in his eyes, kind of weird. But he's a good doggo. There's him just sitting on the chair. He got his little stuffy toy he carries everywhere, so he just sat on the couch and chewed on it. Anyway, there you go. There's Puppers. But I think again, if there is some perception that something's gone wrong, something's gone wrong. And in this case, I think the perception is that within Shadows, the dialogue is super dry, the performance is super dry, the motion capture quality has taken a nosedive, if it's even used at all. And the reason why I'm showing you AC Odyssey is because, for one, it's the same team in Quebec. So it's literally a lot of the same people that made Shadows made this. And I feel like the cutscenes and the presentation in Shadows is a huge step down. Even just this close camera angle with the dialogue selection and then immediate responses to gestures and stuff is night and day. When I was in Quebec, they said they had to redo a lot of the motion capture from scratch because people in ancient Greece, or at least their version of it, wouldn't gesture the same way that people did in Japan. But again, I think if the way that your historical research suggests is that everybody stands around very still and speaks in a monotone tone, maybe that's a time to take creative liberty. And if somebody wants to be like a pedantic loser and be like, well, actually in Japan, they would have stood with their arms at their sides and wouldn't have done hand gestures when talking to you, let that person be upset. But I think a lot more people will be thankful that the scenes are not dry and uninteresting. Because when you talk to everybody standing like that and there's no movement at all, it's really hard to stay engaged. And again, like you look at clips of AC Odyssey, it's night and day. It is night and day. The difference in the quality, the variety, the variability of all of the encounters and discussions and stuff, it's so much better. It's so much better. Again, I will defend Odyssey till the day I die. I think it got a bad rap. And thankfully nowadays people are coming around and are starting to give it more credit, I feel. But anyway. So when I look at something like this is done with the same procedural tools that we've seen with with other stuff throughout the rest of the base game. It's done with the same tools, but would you guess that this is 7 years later? I mean, again, I'm just like, guys. Again, I'm a firm believer that sometimes if you can't do something well, maybe you just don't do it at all. Just don't do it at all. Like, what are we doing? This was one of those 80-20 situations. Let's see. If 20% is going to get on a game for not being accurate, let them. I think in this case, it's more like a 98-2. Like, I think there would have been 2% of players who were throwing a fit that like, well, actually, they wouldn't have gestured in that way and they wouldn't have leaned in like that unless they were bowing. It's like, okay. But what are we doing? But the money, Luke, the money. Well, that's the thing is, I don't think that, because some people have said that they're dropping off the motion capture stuff to save money. And I do think in the case of AC Shadows, that's a component of it. A lot of these like moments where they're just having conversations, these are not done with motion capture. And to be fair, the way that they chose directionally, I guess, to do this in a more historical way, frankly, motion capture probably would have been a waste for this. They are literally standing in a circle, hands at their sides, talking with like very, very little movement and action. So there wouldn't be a reason to motion capture this scene, but that's a result of the directorial choice. They could have had something a little bit more human with like actual human behaviors, but instead it's very stoic, it's very still, and naturally people found that boring.
It isn't safe here.
And I understand that maybe the way that she was directed or as an actress chose to perform the part was to keep the same tone and delivery and rhythm of her speech as in Japanese, but I'm just going to be real. And I'm sure she's a talented actress, but again, there's no nice way of saying this. You guys come here because I'm going to tell you what I think, even if it could be perceived as mean. Nawe's performance in AC Shadows, and I'm not joking, I think would have been better if they had used AI voice generation. Like, I think there would have been more variety in tone and rhythm to her speech than what we got.
It isn't safe anywhere.
It cancels me, I don't care.
But the boy wants to be with you.
Fine. I'll take care of him.
Yatta! So we're taking in strays now, are we?
You were the one who said we needed allies. Think of Junjiro as our first recruit.
Don't touch that.
Sorry.
Will you be all right?
Like, I'm already kind of bored. Like, I'm trying to figure out if it's just the script or if it's the direction or if it's a mixture of the two. Like, I'm trying to figure it out, but like, it's just so dry. And Yasuke, I think, is better. It's also still not great. But man, if I feel personally as though the writing took the overall performances took a nosedive after Odyssey. In Valhalla, they were not this bad. And I have lots of problems with Valhalla, but the performances were not like this. They just weren't. It's nowhere near the same level as even in AC Odyssey. And to people being like, oh, it's a matter of budget cuts. I'm going to show you something. Okay. I'm going to show you something. The first clip we got, was of Black Flag. This is a clip from AC Syndicate's motion capture. This is on a massive motion capture stage. You can see the early previs version. This is for the Jack the Ripper DLC, okay? And they have all of this proprietary tech. They have these things, which are the face capture things that track the dots on their faces.
The Distinguished
Crazy.
Dragon donated $20 through Super Chat.
There you go.
D2 Star Wars inspired expansion releases tomorrow. I'm curious to see the reviews and how many players show up. I like that they're trying new things like collaborating with Lucasfilms, but I don't think it will be enough.
I am also very curious to see how it plays out. I don't know if it'll work out, but I'm glad they're trying stuff. Glad they're trying stuff. It's better than like just sitting on your and resting on your laurels. So I'll give them that. But yeah, thank you for the 20. That's incredibly generous. But yeah, I'm also very, very interested to see how it goes. But like, look at this. Okay. Like, he's dragging him. You can see the original motion captured source material, all of that. This is no doubt an expensive process, or at least it was back when they were recording this in like, it's a 2015 video game. So this is probably like 2013, 14. Okay. That was no doubt expensive, but let me show you another team that put together a game that I'm sure we all know and like, using an X-Sense outfit, which is, I believe they're like $2,000 for the whole setup for each suit. Might even be less. One of the versions of these things I was looking at were about $1,200 a suit. Great for indie devs. And then they attach old iPhones to do facial capture. Okay, so this is what they look like. They got the little helmet, they have these basic suits, and then it attaches a phone and uses the phone's selfie cameras to track all of it. You know what this is for? You know what game this is for? Freaking Expedition 33. I don't have a lighter, so I'll just...
I'm here.
recorded on a freaking cell phone. Not even the Pro Max. Not even the Pro Max. This is just a Pro. Technically a budget phone. It's why I don't buy the whole like, oh, they're cutting back on mocap for price freeze, budget save. I think it's literally just that standards have dropped. I don't want to just throw around the term like lazy, but clearly it's not like a matter just of budget, because you can do this level of quality with fairly cheap offerings. You're going to tell me that Ubisoft does not have the resources to do at least this level? Granted, Expedition 33 is not trying to be a game on the scale of Assassin's Creed Shadows. All I'm asking for is like the main quest line to have motion capture and to put like more effort in. You know, that's what I'm asking for. And I think the reason that they don't is because, frankly, they don't need to. The core audience is still willing to buy it and spend money on the cosmetics and microtransactions and all that, whether or not they do it. So why bother like really pushing and trying if people just go, it's good enough, you know? But my point in showing you this is that it's no longer a thing where you need $50,000 for the suit and the face capture thing, and then you need the $500,000 motion capture studio. You don't need that anymore. This is 2025 we're talking about. 2025, okay? Things are very, very approachable and affordable compared to what they used to be like. So, I don't buy the budget as being like, or budget cuts or cost cutting as an excuse. I don't think that gets you out of it. Because clearly, even with tight budgets, small, tiny teams compared to what Ubisoft is dealing with. Again, Ubisoft has 20,000 employees. On Assassin's Creed, they work with like teams of over 1,000. Some projects, as many as 2,000 or 3,000 people touch the game by the time it goes out the door. With Expedition 33, the base team was 33 people and a dog. And they did have a lot of contractors. Some estimates put the list of contractors at maybe 200 or 300 people, maybe more if you count the people that just like very briefly did work on it. But still, way less than Ubisoft. Way less than they have working on freaking Assassin's Creed. So I think it's literally just about the supply and demand. Like if the gamers playing Assassin's Creed games don't ask for more, they will never get it. If they don't demand more, they'll never get it. They'll get just enough to meet the expectation. Now, I think the real bellwether for the direction of all of this is going to come with the... I can't watch it again or I'll be a disaster. I think the real test for this is not future crossover expansion missions with AC Shadows. I think it's mainly going to come from things like... AC Hexe, which comes next year. AC Hexe has the chance to totally rewrite the narrative for Assassin's Creed, because it is not going to be one of these big open world adventure RPG games that's trying to be 1,000 hours long. It's going to be, reportedly, an open world, narratively linear game that is highly cinematic, that is not trying to give players 15 ways of doing things. It is sort of taking inspiration from like God of War, from Uncharted, from games like that. And I think that could be very interesting. I think it really, really could be interesting. But I swear to whatever God you worship, and in my case, Todd Howard, I swear that if they end up coming with Hexe, and it is linear and it is a narrative focused game, and then it's literally just this level of motion capture quality, and it's just the procedural stuff, I'm gonna scream.
When you said towering creature, you really meant a towering creature.
Thank you, all of you. But it's time for us to leave.
Where will you go?
Home, I suppose.
You know they'll arrest you, no matter what we say.
And in AC Shadows, the choice literally just ends up with who you play as after the cutscene ends. This is crazy, dude. So I am begging of Ubisoft, okay? I know it's not a matter of budgets. I know it's not a matter of capability. The teams are very capable of it. 7 years ago, they were doing great work. I think it's literally just a matter of what they think they need to do to satisfy the fans. And for AC Shadows and Valhalla, frankly, they were games focused on quantity over quality. And that, I think, worked with AC Valhalla because it was a very particular time. Like, we were in lockdowns or just after lockdowns. It was a great game for that. It was a game that you could put 100 hours into just to get through the main story. It was huge. And that level of quantity worked well at that time. Nowadays, 5 years on, I think things have shifted a little bit and people are looking for quality. And I think we're seeing that reflected in the games that are popping off, that are getting a lot of recognition and appreciation, winning the awards. It's about quality and polish, you know? And so I'm imploring Ubisoft, please, please, because the idea of a narrative focused Assassin's Creed game, I think, is cool, especially going to the German witch trials. That could legitimately be really, really cool. But if it's on the same level of quality as what we got with like the base game of AC Shadows, we're gonna have a bad time. Because again, even if we're saying the base game,
Dogs down in Iga. I wish only to speak with you.
it's just literally a random cutscene I just skipped to.
What do you want? Leave me alone.
Lord Rokkaku Yoshikata.
That name is dead. My clan is gone.
Then Shote, if you prefer.
Let me tell you a story to wrap this up. One time I was over at my mom's house. This was like in the middle of college. And when I have like red wine or spaghetti sauce, something very acidic, I get terrible acid reflux, right? Like, it just feels like lava in my throat. It's terrible. Don't recommend it. And my mom has had the same problem. So when I was over at my mom's house after dinner, I was having that acid reflux. And so she was like, let me get you something. I think it was called Renictine, I want to say. It was like a tiny, tiny little pill to help with acid reflux and heartburn and stuff. And it's like heavy duty, but it works for her. So she's like, I'll help you out, my child, and she'll get it to you. She went, got me that, handed it to me. I popped it in. 20 minutes later, I was laying on the floor, practically drooling. I have never felt that exhausted and dead in my life. Like, I was fully awake, but my body was just like, we're done. I'm turning to goo now. Turns out my mom accidentally took a pill out of her muscle relaxant bottle that she had gotten after like a major surgery. And she had accidentally given me like a prescription strength muscle relaxant instead of heartburn medicine. And my body literally turned to melted fudge. And everybody was like looking at me like, why is Luke being such a bummer? Like, they're out playing football in the backyard. I'm just like, oh. But it was because I'd been drugged by my own mother. Even in that moment, I still think my voice had more life and excitement in it than Nawe's in this scene.
You are a brave warrior. You fought against Oda Nobunaga longer than anyone. We need your help. You fought with your shinobi in the hills. You battled beside the Ikoiki.
Maybe that's arrogant of me, but like, seriously. Like, come on. Come on. I mean, come on. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But again, I just think that maybe the lasting thing for Ubisoft to just remember, which they've regularly forgotten, is that just because you can do something quickly as like a fun spin-off or DLC, it reflects negatively on the entire brand and the company. And I just don't think that that has really been appreciated, because like this, yes, it's a free update. It's a fun little crossover quest. Is it really that big of a deal? No. Does it like actually, is it representative of Ubisoft's development process as a whole? No. Okay. But it's a great
At
example.
Keegan Habeck
You know, you can point
donated
to it.
$9.99 through Super
Thank
Chat.
you.
What had the better ending, Uncharted 4 or Gal Ragnarok?
Personally, I would say Ragnarok, because Ragnarok, I was like, how are they going to tie up these knots that they have? Like, how is this going to work? Because they had a lot of loose ends. I was like, okay, after the end of the first game, no spoilers, I guess, but I was like, how are they going to do that? And they did, and it worked really, really well. Uncharted 4 was good. I felt that the ending dragged on a bit, but I did really like it as well. But I'd say Ragnarok personally. Thank you for the 10. Very generous. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I just think, again, this is a fun little spin-off thing, but Ubisoft regularly gives people ammunition to go at them with, and this is great ammunition because it fits the narrative, right? Is it truly representative of what their teams are capable of? No, because this is a free update that they probably threw together in like a week or two. But it's the perfect example of people pointing to it and be like, say, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So again, maybe if you can't do something well, just don't do it. You know, just don't do it. Anyway. Yeah. The main takeaway is read your pill bottles. Yeah. Read your pill bottles or you may end up as an actor in an Assassin's Creed game. There you go. Dude, and it was so confusing because I had taken like the pill and I was like, why do I just feel so tired? And I just remember laying on the floor and I was like, I don't even have the energy to like stand up. I'm just melting. And and I it was just so bizarre. It was so bizarre, but yeah, anyway. It's great. Yeah. So now I don't trust it when my mom hands me something. Tell you what, not trusting that. Okay, but did I die? No, I was very relaxed for a while. Yeah, sure was. In the words of Dr. Ian Malcolm, the Ubisoft devs were so preoccupied with whether or not they didn't stop to think if they should. Oh, that's a good reference, JD. Yeah, and I think that it's just I think, you know, a great example of post-launch support that worked well was like, I think, well, even if you look at something like Cyberpunk, like when they come out with something, it's something polished and it works. It fulfills the vision of the game. It's tonally in line with what you'd expect. It just checks the boxes. And I think just with some Ubisoft stuff, you can tell like in the studio, they're like, oh, that'd be crazy. That'd be fun. It's good enough. That's fun. It's free, you know, but the problem is that it does brand damage. Like severe brain damage. And I don't think they truly appreciate the problem with that and how damaging that can be. Okay. Let's see. We talked about that. Oh yeah. We can talk about this.
News segment.
I forgot I pitched it up. I'm sorry.
No. Okay, I don't know how to fix it.
Sorry. I don't know how to fix it. It's broken. I broke it.
At Luke Warfield 2002 donated $9.99 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Does Rockstar lead the industry in crafting strong, feminine female characters? Sadie Adler is beloved, and GTA 6
Sadie is
Lucia
great.
looks set to be too. Naughty Dog.
I would cut it off. Naughty Dog's females bald, jacked, anti-fem. Thoughts? I don't know. Neil likes muscle mommies. He does. Sly dog. Crazy Neil Druckmann likes his muscle mommies. And that's fine. You know, if Neil wants characters in his games that could crush somebody's head between their thighs like a watermelon is crushed by an elephant's foot, props. Frankly, I get it. You know, it's a vibe. I get it. So that's fine. You know, it's fine. Will we poke a little fun at you? Yeah, probably, but it's fine. It's fine. I will agree though. Rockstar does a great job. They do great. Sadie Adler, I still insist. I really wish they would have done like a DLC or like an expansion, something with Sadie. I think there's so much potential there with her as a character. But yeah, Sadie is fantastic. Lucia, no doubt, is going to be very well executed as well. I think also there's lots of other characters that did a great job, or other studios that have done a great job with female characters. Whether you look at, you know, Larian or even CDPR in Cyberpunk, they've done a great job. Same with The Witcher and all that. I know people are going to be like, oh well, with The Witcher, everybody's wearing low cut shirts. I'm like, oh god, you know, they did that at the bank I worked at too, and you know, those were women way smarter than me. Tell you what, they still work in a professional career, and I do this. Clearly, they're ahead of me. Sadie for Red Dead Redemption 3. I do think that would be really interesting. I do think that could be really interesting, especially like because I think that period right after Red Dead 1 is a fascinating thing, and you get little glimpses of it, you know, in the opening cutscene of Red Dead 1 when they're talking about like how the world is changing and it's becoming more civilized, and you know, the railroad is spanning the entire continent, and you're starting to see trade open up and electricity and all that. It's a very interesting time in history, just full stop, period. And I think that technological innovation and that crossover would be so fascinating, because like literally the people like Sadie would have lived in the time where you went from using lanterns fueled by crap, what was it called, whatever the oil is, like lanterns by oil, going kerosene, thank you. So you're going from kerosene lamps and lanterns all the way through to the invention and like distribution of electricity, and then you also have like flight, literal airplanes being built during your lifetime, and then you see everything like from the telegram all the way up to radio. Like it is a fascinating that life. If you lived from like 1880 all the way through like 1980, 1975, whatever, bro, your life, you saw so much change over the course of your life. I can only imagine. So I think a game set in that period would be interesting to see how that developed and shifted, you know. It'd be very interesting. Very, very interesting. I don't know how that translates to a video game specifically, but I think there's at least interesting stories to be explored there. Real quick, I wanted to touch on this real quick just because I thought it was interesting. News Emmett. In chat, I need you guys to tell me your opinions on proximity chat. Proximity chat. Because to me, it seems like a mechanic, social feature, whatever you want to call it, that significantly amplifies the potential for organic player interactions. That's a very corporate way of saying it. But basically, I think when you have proximity chat, it opens up all new dynamics that are just frankly not there if you don't have proximity chat. So in a game like Arc Raiders, if you have prox chat, there's all sorts of different things that can happen that are not possible if you don't have prox chat. You can do things like not just negotiating with players to extract together, or I had this happen in a game. I actually played with Jacob. We were in Arc Raiders and we just like hopped up on top of a building and we saw a few other players, and I called out, "You guys friendly?" Like, "Yeah, we're friendly. You friendly?" "Sure am, as long as you're friendly." "Okay." And then we hear another voice chime in, and then another. Soon enough, we had 8 total people standing on the rooftop of this building all together, and we decided to work together to take out a gigantic, I'm not sure if it was a bombardier or what it was, but a gigantic robot that was near us. We all took it down. We each got a piece of the loot. and then we all extracted together. It was great. And that was not possible. I would not have been able to take on that robot by myself at that point. But we worked together, and that was something that would not be possible other than like maybe you run up to a player and just teabag a lot to be like, you friendly? You teabag too? And you try to communicate that way. But the voice chat allowed for that thing to happen. It's one of the more memorable moments I've had in Arc Raiders. And there's a lot of other ones. I mean, there's plenty of clips that you can point to. I was trying to find if I could find the part I'm thinking of. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to find it. Nope, I don't see it. Sorry. Okay, I was trying to find the moment where Burnt Peanut was screaming for help, but I don't see it. So anyway, there's lots of things that are possible that are not possible if you don't have prox chat. And what's fascinating to me is that there's a lot of specifically within some of these studios that have gone sort of corporate. There's a hesitance with proximity chat being put in their games, and it always centers around, at least what they say publicly, is toxicity. So for example, when we went to Bungie's headquarters in Washington back in April to see Marathon early, we asked them, will you have proximity chat in Marathon? An extraction shooter where like you're either playing solo among trios, or you know, you might go in with duos, but there's no duo or solo queue at the time. It was just trios. And so like prox chat would probably be pretty important. They said, no, we just have not. I think what they said was like, we haven't found a way to deal with the toxicity problem. Like they're worried about people being toxic, and so they just wouldn't put it in the game at all. And something similar happened with FBC Firebreak. And this is what made me think of it. So like FBC Firebreak, if you're not aware, frankly, kind of fair. It is a game from Remedy. And this was also like an extraction shooter, cooperative extraction, whatever you want to call it, cooperative shooter. I don't know. It feels like everything's an extraction shooter now. But this was a game from the guys over at Remedy, the guys that did Control. And they released this earlier this year, and they were asked if they were going to have proximity chat for, you know, randoms being put together and all of that. And they said, no. They said, no, we're not doing that. The game comes out. It is by pretty much every metric a failure. Like it just did not work. Did not work. And they, I think, wrote down like close to $30 million as a loss because of this game. But that's also because it was rushed. It wasn't ready. It was never that original or interesting of a concept. There's plenty of reasons why it didn't do well. But the proximity chat is also another component of it that I just find so bizarre, because it's something, or in this case, integrated voice chat, but it was also not put in there allegedly because of proximity chat. In the case of Marathon, they didn't put it in because they're worried about toxicity. In the case of some of these other ones, I don't think I can say the name of it, but there was another game, an upcoming game, multiplayer game, that they asked me to check out, and I checked it out, and I asked them if it was going to get team chat / proximity chat, and they said, no, we're worried about the toxicity problem. And they didn't use those exact words, but it was like, we're worried about making sure that everybody can have a good time, even if they're using voice chat. We don't want them to run into players who are more like disagreeable or whatever. And so, you know, there was a reason they didn't want to do it. But I think in the case of Arc Raiders, it's shown how it can really elevate the player experience as well. Not just for content creators to make funny clips, but also just in general for players, because things like I described become possible. And it's just so bizarre to me that you can have these games that do not include those features in pursuit of some desire to free players from toxicity, or maybe it's just a matter of budget cuts and limitations. I don't know. Maybe it's a server infrastructure problem, and so it's exponentially more expensive to have prox chat. I don't know. But it's really, really, really bizarre. Really bizarre. And it ends up shooting the games like in the foot, which is what's even more crazy. Marathon releasing without prox chat would be such a blunder. It would be catastrophic. It'd be insane. It'd be absolutely insane. Absolutely crazy. But they weren't going to do it until, you know what? Arc Raiders comes along, does incredibly well, has proximity chat. What do you know? All of a sudden, Marathon, they've added proximity chat in the latest playtests, allegedly. I've not been invited to any of the playtests, but I've heard through the grapevine, because people like to break NDAs, that it does have proximity chat now. So it was never a matter of technical limitations or anything. It was just that they didn't want to. And they didn't want to, maybe because they genuinely feared toxicity would ruin the game. But I would say whoever they're talking about, or talking to, that is scared of proximity chat, they should stop listening to them. You know, like, they should stop listening to them. And it makes me pause and really think about, like, who are the people they're getting advice from? Because proximity chat in an extraction shooter is, I personally think it's a must-have, at least as a feature. If you don't like it, turn it off. That's the ultimate way to fix fix toxicity, is just allow players to mute players or turn it off. Easy. It also seems like there is also a like reputation system under the hood within Arc Raiders where they are tracking player toxicity levels, basically. So they can track if you encounter a player, and then they see if you betray them and if you engage with them. Because, you know, in the post-match screen, it shows like when you encountered a player and when you did this and when you fought this robot and this and that. What they found is like you can, or what's suspected is that the game is tracking all of that, and players who encounter other players and then engage them in combat very quickly after, they get ranked as like a confrontational player, and those players are put with other confrontational players. But the players that tend to play peacefully and are friendly, they are put into a different bucket, and they get match made with other friendly players even more and more frequently. So you end up with all the PvPers put together with each other, and then you end up with the friendly players put together over here. So if you want to play peacefully, you have that more likely to happen to you. Is that for real? It's suspected at this point, to be very, very clear. So there's been people that, and I tried this myself, where like one night you sit down and play, and you play super aggressively. So you play super toxic. You go, you fight everybody, no friendly, no nothing. You just are fighting and trying to kill or be killed, right? And when I've tested this, the nights where I do that, the matches might start with some friendlies, some people like trying to communicate, but then it just takes a nosedive and everybody is sweaty and nasty and super toxic. Like super toxic. But then like a couple nights later, we'll be playing and we're super friendly. Everybody's super friendly. And it's like somehow conveniently, every match you play, everybody's super friendly after the first few rounds. It's really, really bizarre. It's really bizarre. So it's suspected at this point, not confirmed, but it's suspected. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know though. I don't know. I would love to see behind the scenes, but I think obviously they don't want to reveal if that's the case, because then people will start gaming it and farming it. Because what you'll see is toxic people, then they'll go and like be super, super friendly off stream, and then they'll go on stream and be super toxic to farm clips and stuff. And I'm sure the flip side is also true. I mean, probably flip it as well. But yeah, I think they'll keep that type of thing quiet. I don't know. But either way, it'll be whatever's happening is fascinating to me, because it's just such an obvious thing to have, and so many studios are petrified of prox chat. And here's the real kicker to all of this. Toxic people will be toxic whether they have voice chat or not. They will. Just instead of saying something nasty over the voice chat, they'll teabag you. You know, those were the good old days. Those were the good old days when you'd be playing a game, you get downed, and then the guy runs over. Old school Halo, for example, they come over, they just teabag you. That was old school toxicity. Now, didn't they do something like, didn't like some player in a tournament get like banned because he was playing in the esport tournament for like Halo Infinite, and he teabagged somebody and they kicked him out of the event? I think that's what it was. It's been a while since that happened, but I remember seeing that. I was like, okay, we've fully lost sight. Like, come on. Come on, man. Come on. Still happens in Battlefront. Look, dude, it is like, if the worst thing you do in life is teabag players in a video game, you've done pretty well. Okay. You've done pretty well. It's just, man. Anyway. It's so dumb. But now I think, you know, the market has spoken. It's like, yeah, you can not have prox chat. You can have no team chat because you're just like, we don't want to deal with toxicity. You can do that. But we're just not going to play. So it's like, okay, it's up to you. It's up to you. Real quick, I wanted to react to this. Respond. Main channel here. Okay. So new segment thing. Bungie is afraid of naughty words, but not art theft, apparently. Well, it's just so bizarre to me that like they will play holier than thou over something like that, and then it's like, okay, but the game isn't going to do well, so then they're like, okay, never mind, we'll add it. It's like, okay, I thought you were standing on principle, but no, the second that it looks like your game might be in trouble, principle's out the window. So it's like, what are we doing? Reapception? Well, that's sort of, I don't know what to even call this, but basically, okay, news of it. Orc, by the way, thank you for the resub, by the way. I don't remember if I called that out. Thank you, my friend, though. Thank you over on Twitch. So the other day, 2 days ago, I did a video on Star Citizen, because this is going to be shocking to you. Star Citizen has raised a lot of money. I know. Crazy. They are now officially over the $900 million mark. Okay. Funding. You can go here on the website and you can track this yourself. You can see it yourself. They are now at 916 million. When I filmed that video, it was at 901 million. Let that settle in. Okay. 6.1 million total citizens, and you can see their day-to-day revenue. Yesterday they brought in a little over about $2.5 million. The day before that they brought in 3.3 million. So the day I made my video, they made 3.3 million. Oops. And plenty more. Okay. I mean, they had a rough, what would this be? So if this was Sunday, well, the 30th. Yeah. So this was Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday was a rough day. They only made 2.2 million. Only 2.2 million. Oops. So we talked about this, and in the video, I tried to be as fair as I could, because I've actually played a good amount of Star Citizen in my day. But whenever I do these videos, and this is important for fans of Star Citizen to remember, these videos that I'm making are for my audience. My audience, they're not people who are playing a lot of Star Citizen, okay? So I understand that for Star Citizen fans, this is like a very basic overview. Absolutely true, and it's meant to be that way. Because most people, all they've ever heard about Star Citizen is how toxic and overpriced it is. They've heard the memes of scam citizen and stuff like that. And I'm not really interested in that, and I tried to debunk some of those claims in this video, because I personally don't think it's fair to call this a scam. I think it's pretty clear what you're getting when they offer it to you and they take your money for it. That doesn't mean it's good or a good idea to purchase it, but I think the term scam doesn't necessarily apply, because scam implies a certain level of deception and things, which I haven't seen here, at least with this game. Because they're very careful with how they phrase things. You'll notice they're very careful with how they phrase things when they say you're buying this and you get the 10-year insurance once the game leaves testing and leaves. Like, they're very precise. So I don't think scam is technically the accurate term. But all this to say, I made this video, and there's no doubt been a lot of impassioned responses from Star Citizen fans, which I greatly appreciate, including this one from FLFL N5X, who typed all of this up responding to the video. And for one, can I just say, mad props. The fact that anybody would take the time to respond in that much detail to my ramblings, greatly appreciate it. Humbled humbled. Okay. But I wanted to look at this because there are some interesting counters, and you know, if I got something wrong, I would love to know if I'm wrong. And there's going to be a couple of things in here that are interesting because I did peruse these responses, and it is interesting. But in general, what you will find, and I mentioned this in the video, is that a lot of the people who have played a lot of Star Citizen, they are very, very, I think sensitive sounds bad, but they're very defensive about the game. So when people come out and are critical of it, they do feel the need to play defense for it. But at the same time, they will be very critical of RSI and CIG in general as well. RSI is Robert Space Industries, and CIG is the developer Cloud Imperium Games. But I think that the reason this is going to be interesting is because the people who have played a lot of Star Citizen and have been in this universe for a while, they've become accustomed and desensitized to a lot of the stuff that happens within this universe that are just frankly totally unacceptable in any other segment of the industry. Okay. Which is the reason I'm bringing it up. And the reason why I'm discussing it in my video is because I understand that for people playing the game, they're like, no, this ship is only for orgs. That's why it costs $1,000. So it would be unreasonable for a regular player to get it. And it's, you know, honestly, similar pricing models have been explored by Activision and EA and all of that. It's like, okay, I hear you. They are still not doing $1,000 ships though. Like they're just not. Even these other games, like we looked at the Where Winds Meet, they have a cosmetic ship thing that you can get that is $40,000. At least that's the headline. The way you get it is by doing a ton of pulls and getting crafting materials to craft the ship. So even that is a bunch of small purchases. What Star Citizen does that's so viral and that gets so much attention is that they have ships that cost thousands of dollars, and they have a gray market where you can buy accounts from people that have spent thousands, and these accounts go for tens of thousands of dollars. That is just something that you don't really see in the broader gaming industry. But let's see this to specifically look at each of these. Let's see. However, that's all the more reason I think things should be pointed out, corrected here for accuracy and honesty. At 740, I referred to something here. Let's look at what he is responding to, okay? It is legitimately really, really cool and does work quite well. As you can see, I'm jumping with my warp drive right now so you can travel across the system super, super quickly. And we'll see how it just does it super seamlessly as I approach my arrival point. I have a not super great warp drive because this is a starter ship, because I don't want to spend thousands of dollars in this game. More on that in a second, because yes, you can do that and many people do. So we'll just have to sit and wait like losers while we warp our way over there.
And I think it's gonna be a long, long time.
Shout out Jacob for the edit.
Brings me around again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh no, no, no.
I'm a rocket man.
Rocket man.
Dude, I breathe so heavy.
Out his fuse out here. Hello.
Am I okay?
Here we
come. There you go. There you go. That's how quick it was. Super. So you can't actually see it yet. When I swapped cameras, it pops in. You can't see the like space station yet.
Super fast. But
It's not there. And then I swept back. Then it's back. It loaded in.
That is legitimately awesome. I appreciate that we can do with like no load screens. That's genuinely like awesome and like really badass when other games require it.
Does just take an adjustment in mindset, because this is a seamless universe and you can do some crazy stuff. Crazy guy. That was Jacob's sound effect, by the way.
I forgot to slow down. Forgot to slow down, so I crashed. After all that, I crashed.
So yeah, I did forget to slow down. He counters this. So I'm referring to ships that can go faster or slower depending on how much money you spent. Specifically, there are different tiers of ships and types of ships, styles of ships. There's some that are meant to be cargo transport, some that are mining ships, some that are like fighter jets, basically. There's a bunch of different types of ships that you can spend money on or you can grind for in game, but there's different tiers. And then ships can also be upgraded and get different parts swapped in and out, which can also make them go faster. What he said is, I think I understand what you're saying here, but it almost sounds as if you're saying that starter ships are necessarily slower, or that you need to pay money to go faster. For the record, in case someone doesn't or hasn't played Star Citizen, is watching and reading, neither statement is true. Faster quantum drives are cheaply purchasable as in-game shops, and bigger ships are not faster. Yet to be clear, the big ones, as you expect, tend to be a little bit slower. But I'm not referring to like getting the Idris to jump faster. I'm referring to like the ships that are specifically meant to be faster. The starter ships tend to be fairly slow and have very little, if any, cargo capacity. Like maybe one or two large crates, like that's it. Anyway, continuing. Additionally, you mentioned this later, but all ships are attainable in game, save some ships which have just released, or those for which CIG is still figuring out a reasonable way to put in the game, like the Idris, since obviously buying a military frigate at a Toyota dealership is kind of ridiculous. This is because like a lot of the places where you can buy ships in the game, in game, are sort of like car dealerships for spaceships, and so having a big military carrier basically wouldn't make sense, which I get. I mean, it's a video game, so I think you could do it if you wanted to, but they're trying to find ways of making that more immersive. If you spend the actual money on it, you can just get it added to your account and it's fine. But yeah, that is fair to bring up. Yes, all ships are attainable in the game, but again, for most of them, you have to grind money to get it in the game. And those ships that you grinded for with in-game currency, to buy with in-game currency as opposed to real world dollars, when they do server wipes and progress wipes, you lose that ship and all of the money you grinded for. So you can grind for it. You can. But you will lose it eventually. If you pay real money for it, you don't lose it. But if you grind for it with in-game currency, you can. People will counter this and be like, well, Luke, eventually when they stop doing server upgrades and stuff, you won't lose it when your progress is wiped. And that is like, okay, that's what they say, but that's not the reality we're living in right now, you know? So like, when that happens, talk to me. That's basically what I say to that. Anyway, continuing. So this specifically, this next one is, he basically says that he thinks this guy died. What he's talking about is the part of the video where I go on the store and I find an account on this gray market that is available for $25,000, and it has a bajillion ships on it. Available. It has all of these things within it. Somebody played the crap out of this game to build this account. I would love to know why they're selling it. Like, what happened that they need to get rid of it? I'm so curious because they played this so much, dude. That's crazy. This is an account, just to be clear, that like a solid decade worth of grinding was put into, and thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars were spent on this account. And it's available for sale through this gray market for $25,000. And so what he was saying is that he thinks his take is this guy died and his account is being sold by his family or something. Sad stuff, but it happens, especially since Star Citizen players tend to be pretty old compared to those of other gaming communities. And that is, it's possible. What's crazy, my initial thought was like, what type of guy is going to give his family members like the login for his account and tell them to sell his account when he passes away? Like, who's going to do that? But then I paused and I was like, bro, if I had an account in a video game that was worth, allegedly, $25,000, I would probably do exactly that. You know, like I would probably tell my family to sell it when I pass away. I won't need it. Get 25 grand, pay for my funeral that way. So initially I was like, no way. But then I paused. I was like, no, if you could get 25 grand, yeah, I would definitely tell people that. So it's very possible. The other thing, maybe it's hackers, maybe it's people doing exploits to get assets and then they're flipping them. Maybe this whole gray market this particular one's a scam. I don't know. I know they have been trying to stamp out the gray market resellers and vendors. That is true. They don't like it because, as you'd expect, if you spend $25,000 on an account and it turns out the account was stolen or hacked or something, they used a phishing exploit, got some dude's login, stole the account from him, and now they're selling it for 25 grand when he didn't want it to be sold. That's a problem. And they can't control that if gray markets exist, which is why almost every game I can think of does not allow you to sell accounts. You can't do that. And if you do, they shut the account down. So I don't think that, I don't know if I would ever buy, I do know I would never buy an account online to skip grinding anything, but that is a thing that happens in Star Citizen. Let's see this next one, 1435. Let's see what I was talking about here. 1435. Let's see, what is this a counter to? At the end of the day, everything is about the ships. That's what everything is tied back to. It's a sci-fi game after all. I mean, that's kind of what you would expect, right? I mean, it's not really that big of a shocker to me. But it's important to note that most people probably get most of their ships with in-game currency that they gain by completing activities or missions. You can see I can file an insurance claim on that ship I just crashed. I can pay an expedited fee and that'll speed up the time. And now I just kind of sit back and chill while I wait for the ship to be delivered. Or I could take delivery of another ship I have on this account. But in this case, I'll just wait for. So, and also here, just to point out, because this will be important later, you can see this one, the cargo listed is 8 on the Intrepid. And then on this one, it's 3. The big ships, one of the reasons why you can excel much faster if you have money to spend is because you can literally just deliver more cargo. So if you get a bigger ship, you can move more goods and sell more stuff on bigger delivery missions and stuff. And that will help you excel even faster, So it's not always just about speed, it's also about that. But what he says is, I think this used to be more true than it currently is. I think that this is specifically when I said that most of it is about the ships, and then it's also about grinding for money to get those ships. But he says it becomes less true patch after patch. It may be enlightening to check the player trade market on UX Corp. Players trade all sorts of stuff for large amounts of in-game currency, including armor sets and weapons, the most valuable of which can go for medium to large ship prices. However, it is true that oftentimes ships are the factors which enable or disable access to some pieces of content. So I won't dispute that they are more central to the game than any single other thing. Okay, so they're more affordable than they used to be, but they are still kind of the centerpiece. And again, that's why this whole discussion is kind of important, because if the game centers around ships and the ships are being sold for crazy extortionate prices, that is a problem, that's a problem. Let's see, 1515, he says, again, I'm glad that you're mentioning attainability. This was, again, I'm about to say it, I'll just let it play. Intrepid because it's cooler. But the important thing to understand is that ships that are gained by in-game currency will actually be wiped. They regularly do server wipes and resets. Maybe it's once a year, maybe it's once every 3 months. It's all over the place, just depending on what they need for development when they're working on the game. But when they do a server wipe, everything is removed. So you lose access to the ship. You don't have it anymore unless you paid for it with real world money, in which case you can get access to it again after the server wipe. So while you will hear people who play the game say, well, no. You don't have to spend real world money on the ships. You can just get it in game. Yes, that's true, but it will regularly be wiped and all of that grinding will be reset to 0. It's also important to note that most of the people that you talk to and that say you don't have to spend money on ships, if you ask them how much money they've spent on the game, the answer is usually in the realm of hundreds or thousands, or sometimes hundreds of thousands. I met one guy who had spent tens of thousands of dollars on the game already, and he was very, very open about it, which I respect. It's your money, spend it how you want. But the whales in this game go hard. Okay, they really go hard. Now, this is very, very true. I'm getting Luke overload right now, for real, dude. So the thing is, I always find it funny how the people who are the most ardent defenders of Star Citizen tend to also be some of the people who have spent the most money on it. Shouldn't be a shocker, frankly. But beyond that, they also are the ones that stress you don't need to spend money to have a good time. You don't need to spend a lot of money to enjoy Star Citizen. But when you ask them how much money they've spent, almost always it is a lot of money by pretty much every metric. I say almost every time it's a lot of money because I want to say, I'm sure there's people out there who have a great time and have only ever spent $45 to get the entry starter ship. But every person I've ever spoken to, whether it's in-game or YouTubers and streamers or whatever, when I've spoken to people who are really into Star Citizen, their accounts are always in the spending range of $500 to like $10,000. A lot of them have been playing it for a decade. They've put a lot of time and money into it, and that's a big component of it. He says in response to this, and again, I'm glad you're mentioning attainability in game, but I think this statement on wipes needs to be tempered a bit. Firstly, wipes do not happen on a monthly basis or even a yearly basis. CIG has stated before that they do not want to wipe unless they have a very good reason to, which essentially means testing large economy changes, which we probably will not get for quite some time, maybe late next year at the earliest if I was really coping, and that's me praying for economy changes soon. And it's already been some time since the last wipe. Real quick, when was the last server wipe? When was the last server wipe in Star Citizen? Was it 323? 4.0. Oh, it was 4.0. They say around Christmas of last year. 3.24 to 4.0. Okay. So that was about a year ago was the last big wipe. When I started playing the game, whatever that was, like 3-4 years, I don't know how long ago it was. When I started playing the game, there were multiple wipes within I think it was a 9-month period. I don't know. I'd have to look back at the exact timelines, but it felt frequent. It felt more frequent than it should. Even if it's a once a year thing, it still is tough to like grind for an entire year and then everything you have is gone. Server wipes though are something that happens a lot in live service games, period. Like it's just a regular thing. So I'm not necessarily saying server wipes are a problem. Again, the thing is it doesn't reset everybody's progress, because if you spent real money, you get to bypass the progress wipe. If you were playing the game just regularly, you don't get to keep your ships. You have to start from scratch, but the people who spent money don't have to start from scratch, you know? And I think that's my frustration with it is, again, like Star Citizen is not really pay to win, because what does win even mean in a game like that? But in the case of a game like this, where it's about just doing bigger, better, cooler things, you certainly can excel much faster and do way better if you don't lose all your crap once a year or even once every other year or whatever it is. There's a huge advantage to not losing your stuff, you know, specifically your ships. You know, it's still not great. And I understand they've communicated they only want to do it as like the last possible option. But the point is it still happens. Do I enjoy the game? I enjoy a lot about the game. I do not enjoy the pricing model or the game's economy or any, like, I have lots of problems. This is why I find Star Citizen so fascinating, is because it's such a duality, you know. There's the really cool aspects where they have some genuinely amazing technology that other games could only dream of having. The persistent entity streaming, where like literally if you drop a water bottle in the game on a planet in a cave and then fly your ship to another planet, don't log in for a month, you could come back to that same cave and find the water bottle there, so long as nobody else has taken the water bottle or done anything with it. That's what their tech allows them to do, which is genuinely badass. That is cool. But then they come along and they sell you a ship for $850. And I'm like, what are we doing? You know, and it's why like they can't get out of their own way, which is going to be the fascinating thing with Star Citizen, is that they say they want to break into the mainstream. They want, for gamers like you and me who don't tend to play, like we don't play this game, we tend to play like standard AAA releases for $60-$70. Like that's what we play. They want to break into our community because there's a lot more of us than are playing Star Citizen or have ever played Star Citizen. But I don't think they can do that with this pricing model. But I don't think they will ever get rid of the pricing model. And I think they're going to try to break into it. They'll go to like the Game Awards and do a trailer or something, and then people will look into it, because the average gamer has no idea what Star Citizen even is. They might have heard rumblings about the game that's raised money, but like, you know, beyond that, I just don't think there's a lot of awareness of it, but that's going to change. They continue. Let's see. Okay, secondly, in its current state, ships in game are extremely cheap. Okay, in its current state. Okay. As for any given patch, certain activities, typically new ones that CIG wants to test, it seems, have vastly inflated payouts because they're using players to play test it, basically. Currently, I do not think that wipes are a considerable factor for most people when deciding whether to buy in-game or for real money. And okay, I mean, I think surveys could be interesting. I'm sure they have some tech internally that would show it. But I do think that it is a problem. Wave over on Twitch says that's how gacha companies work, though. They create a problem, sell you the solution. I have 15 years in the gacha industry. Star Citizen is doing that intentionally to force more people to spend money. It's a market strategy. Well, I mean, even if this individual says that he, in his personal opinion, I do not think that wipes are a considerable factor for most people when deciding whether to buy in-game or for real money. It's still a factor. Whether it's the main factor or not, it still is an advantage you get to spending real money versus grinding. And that's, again, something that creates a lot of instability. There is an incentive to spend real money on the ships as opposed to just grinding for it. Beyond just surviving the wipes, it's also just a matter of time. Like, some people don't want to grind for days, weeks, months. I always get different estimates. Some people just don't want to do that in order to get a ship. They just want to have the ship, you know? So there's an advantage to it. As an aside, though, I should also mention that there is currently still a glitch where you can lose an in-game bought ships between patches, but CIG is currently working on this, and it's at least somewhat better than it used to be, not to mention there is a reliable workaround. So there is currently still, so it's been there for a while, a glitch where you lose in-game bought ships between patches. So even like outside of wipes, you can just randomly lose your ships that you've grinded for. It is not done yet, to be fair. I know that might be surprising to you. The game is not finished yet, but that is a problem. That being said, however, I do personally find it slightly suspicious of how long it's taken for this glitch to be fixed, but that's probably a separate conversation altogether, so I'm not going to get into it. So even this guy who's played a lot of Star Citizen is saying and suggesting, I find it slightly suspicious how long it's taken for the glitch to be fixed. Suggesting that they are not fixing it, or it's at the very least a low priority fix for them, because it benefits them. Because if they fix it, all of a sudden there's one less reason to spend real money on the ship, you know? Because right now, if people are like, oh, I'll just grind for the ship, but you're like, oh, but I'll lose it at server wipes, and there's a bug right now where randomly I could lose the ship between updates. I guess I'll just spend real money for it. Like that, the fact that that's even a suspicion because it's been in the game for a while, and I vaguely remember something about this from one of the videos I made on the game a while back. And that video I think was like a year and a half ago. And if that's the case, that this bug has been in the game for a year and a half and it still freaking has these problems, I would also be, in his words, slightly suspicious. Slightly suspicious, to say the very least. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. But he continues in the same vein. This is also in response to something else that I mentioned. This was the bit right here. Ask them how much money they've spent on the game. Oh, asking specifically how much money people have spent. They've always spent a lot of money. This sounds like it's a lot, but I think if you asked any player of a live service game, which has been around for a decently long time, how much money they've spent on it, it's probably also quite a bit. I think if you asked a reasonably dedicated Destiny player how much they've spent on Destiny since Destiny 1, it'd be upwards of $300 to $500 just for DLCs in the games, not including any Eververse purchases. Likewise, I've spent many hundreds of dollars on Warframe just plainly because of how long I've been playing it. Still, it is true that there's no way to spend many thousands of dollars on on Warframe or Destiny realistically. So I agree that there may be something to be said about the lack of upper limit on Star Citizen spending. Well, in gacha games, as I'm sure Wave is willing to discuss, the upper spending is where like most of the money comes from. The whales that are willing to spend tens of thousands of dollars, as opposed to the standard player who might spend, as he's suggesting, $300 to $500 over a decade. The whales are spending 10 to 20,000 in that time, you know, or even more. Like, again, we looked at the example of Where Winds Meet, which is also free to play and just cosmetics. And there's already a dude who has grinded enough and bought enough of the things to get crafting materials in order to get a roughly $40,000 ship is what they estimate it would cost to get it. So there's people, and that game's been out for like a month, you know, or 2-3 weeks or something. So certainly there will always be big whales who spend tons of money and there's no ceiling on their spending. And these companies have a vested interest in never capping that. Like, there's been discussions, I believe, out of Europe for regulators to come in and put a cap on spending. So like in one game, you cannot spend more than $1,000 in microtransactions before a cap hits. I think that would be good for the industry and would save a lot of people a lot of money, but I don't think they'll ever, you know, actually do that, frankly. Jordan says, I've spent around $600 on League of Legends since at least 2016. Well, let me be clear. If you're an adult who has disposable income, you can spend it on whatever you want. I'm not saying like it's immoral to spend money on your hobby, okay? If your hobby is Star Citizen and you want to spend money on it, cool. If you are into golf and you want to buy those like Tiger Woods Taylor, my brother was telling me about them, tailor-made irons. I don't remember exactly how much they are, but they're expensive. Shocker, golf stuff is expensive. The golf guys, I don't know. These, it's like $200 for one club. This, I think, is it. Yeah, just this one club is $220. Clubs, I want like a full kit. Can you complete sets? There we go. So like if you're really into golf and you spend $1,200 on one of these sets of clubs, you know, if you spend all that money and that's your hobby and that's where you get enjoyment and pleasure, props. Okay, do what you want to do. You know, you can spend your money however you want. What I'm specifically talking about in this video and in the other videos I've done is that I think if you're trying to go quote unquote mainstream, there are certain things you can do and certain things you cannot do. And some of the stuff that they want to do with pricing, I do not think plays within the more mainstream gaming community. Like, and part of that is just the sticker shock for sure. Because he's right. There's plenty of other games that are mainstream that have spent or have raised and taken in billions of dollars through microtransactions. The difference, I think, is that they're doing that through like a $20 cosmetic. They're doing that through a $5 cosmetic, a $10 battle pass here and there. Like, that's how they're doing it. They're not doing it through $850 ships or $1,000 ships or a gray market where you can spend tens of thousands of dollars. They're just not. So the big price tag, individual price tag, is I think part of the reason the perception around Star Citizen is what it is. I think if they were smaller price tags, it would go over better. The other piece is that just flatly, it is a gameplay affecting macro transaction. You get a ship that is capable of doing things the cheaper ships or the ships that you just start with, they can't do. You get a bigger ship, you can deliver more cargo. That is something you get that you don't get if you were not willing to spend more money. You can grind for it eventually, sure, but it can eventually be lost in server wipes or with this glitch that's been around forever, you know? So I just don't think that they're quite the same thing. Meta says not comparable. Other free-to-plays, the most egregious item costs $60 to $100, battle pass, skin bundles, etc. Star Citizen is a game still in development selling items worth a month's rent. They're not the same thing. Well, exactly. I think the sticker shock is a big piece of it. The other and I think part of the reason that games like WoW, like Call of Duty, are able to raise the money that they do is because of the volume of players. And this is part of the difficulty for Star Citizen devs right now, is they're like, okay, we have a small group of players, so we charge more and the whales will spend more and that will pay for development. What they want to do by going mainstream is they want to get more players. My point is, more players, you can also make a lot of money, but I believe that average ticket price needs to drop significantly. No more $800 ships. You might get away with doing like a $20, $30, $40, $50 ship. People would still throw a fit because it is a gameplay advantage you're selling. I know it's not pay to win, it's pay to excel. Okay, you're gonna seriously try to tell me it's not like affecting gameplay? It does. Okay. But I don't think they're willing to do that, because then, you know, the whales have already shown they're willing to buy an $800 ship, a $700 ship. There was one dude, I haven't seen him in stream in a while, but there was one dude in our community who was a big Star Citizen player. And he said that he saved up year round for when the ships go on like sale in November every year. And it was like a big moment for him. Like, he would save up year round to drop a bunch of cash on Star Citizen once a year. Like, that's how a lot of these guys handle it. You know? Yeah, the minnows won't cut it. Yeah. Well, especially because like the minnows cannot consume the same stuff the big whales are consuming. And the problem is, if you have the meal for the whales and you have the meal for the minnows, both offering, you know, a $10 ship here and then an $800 ship over there, not only is that just in terms of volume a crazy variety, but also it is like I don't think it converts well, because again, the people who are willing to spend $5 will be infuriated at the prospect of other players spending $800 and getting way bigger, cooler ships. And it is true. He's about to describe this next component here, so we'll skip to that. But there is a component of this that I think not a ton of people appreciate, which is the size and scale of the ship. But I think it's also not necessarily the most... I'm not sure if it matters, but I'll let it play out. So I don't have any of those extra bells and whistles. And I will say you can have fun. There is stuff to do in the game, but it is not on the same level as somebody who's running with like a Giga Javelin ship or something, or one of the other big ships like the 890 Jump, which is a massive like cruise ship yacht kind of thing. A couple years back, actually. This, to be clear, this is the C2. This is not the ship I'm describing. This is the C2, and it's also a bigger ship that I was able to use because another player found me in the server and sent me money in the game to buy this ship with, to try it on stream, which was nice of him. But this ship, I forget how much it is. It's maybe $100, $200, something like that. But it's this is also not a starter ship. You'd have to grind for this one or spend a good chunk of change on it. However, the 890 Jump is like a big cruise ship and everything. They did a video where I flew that ship around. No way, is it 600? You say H1 says 600? Is it seriously $600? Can somebody check that? That's crazy. It's like, because a viewer was actually one of the hardcore players in Star Citizen and had a bunch of in-game currency to just give me. Just what I just described. It was cool. But that is where the disagreements lie, my friends. That is where the drama starts, is specifically with people who really have a problem with the exorbitant prices they charge for all sorts of ships. And they have a problem with it because it's not sustainable. And even some of the hardcore fan base that has engaged with the game on that level and spent amounts of money in the realm of like hundreds or even thousands of dollars, they have a problem with it because it is going to inevitably affect Star Citizen's capabilities of connecting with a more mainstream audience, which I think, again, is just the main point of the video, which is I don't think they're ever going to reach that mainstream appeal. I think they'll just continue milking the whales the way they have been. Because I think in order to appeal to the mainstream audience, they have to do things very differently, and I don't think they're willing to do that. But what he says in response to this is, I don't think this is a fair statement. This is, again, in response to the ships, and I was describing how like you can do a lot of cool things with the big ships you can't do with the little ones. He says, I don't think this is a fair statement. I've been playing this game for some time, and fundamentally what differentiates subcapital / org gameplay from smaller ship gameplay is not the actual ship, but group size. And group size is mandatory for these larger ships. There is no point as a solo player, at least in the current iteration of the game, to own an Idris, which is a gigantic ship. I guess I should show that in case you didn't see the video. But the Idris is one of these massive ships. It can house 28 players. This is the ship I'm using in the video. Gives you an idea of the size and scale. They're just gigantic. They have like movie theaters within the ship, massive cargo holds. They're huge. And again, it's designed for 28 players. Okay, it's designed for a massive group. It's $400 for the C2 at the moment. Golly, I didn't realize I'm a high roller. That's crazy. $200 or $400 for that ship that I was using in that video. That's crazy. But he says, I don't think that that's fair because you need a large group in order to run that ship and enjoy it. And so that's the deciding factor, not the money you're willing to spend, basically. As you can see here, there is no point in solo player. That's probably most soloable of the so-called subcapital ships, which are in the game. It's a pretty useless ship without a crew. Additionally, if you're doing org gameplay, it's org gameplay, regardless of Idris or no Idris. Now, I will say that there is more to the experience of using mid-sized ship than the experience in a starter, but that's also fundamentally the point. It's a starter ship that you're meant to outgrow. And I agree. The game needs starter ships to outgrow into mid-size or just different capabilities, and not necessarily just about scale, but you need something to move into to progress towards. Absolutely agree. Again, this just goes back to the core thing, which is that if you have more cash, if your wallet is bigger, you get to do that faster or even immediately. If your wallet is thicker, you outgrow it immediately. And there are, as you can see, I will say there is more to the experience of using a mid-sized ship than the experience in a starter. So there's more to the experience if your wallet is bigger. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Because I think there is a way to build out Star Citizen where it's either cosmetic based or, I mean, clearly there's plenty of games that make hundreds of millions or billions of dollars without needing to rely on gameplay affecting things. I mean, even if you point to something like a Fortnite where you're literally just talking about buying skins to dress like a banana and stuff, those are gameplay agnostic. You know, it's just a matter of like the skin and the presentation of the player and the cosmetics, and that game makes billions of dollars. I think there is a version of Star Citizen that could monetize itself in that way where it's not about the size of your wallet determining the amount of fun that you have right now. You know, I think there is a version to do it. 1833, he replies to as well. This is a follow-up on what I was saying here, which is, and yes, I'm glad you mentioned this because you're correct. I think this is a fundamental issue with pricing. It's more about optics and sustainability going forward than it is current gameplay or balance. Pretty clearly, I would say they've raised, like, by the end of this year, it will probably be a $200 million year. 200 million. Like they're getting, I mean, maybe not 200 million. They're raising well over $100 million a year with this unfinished game. So clearly, the current player base is willing to spend money regardless of everything else going on. They're not worried about the optics. The problem is if they want to break into the mainstream, where I think the optics are pretty devastating. But I can at least hope that pointing out all of this above may help with said optics. Who knows, though? Inevitably, I doubt it will change that people see cool thing, see big price tag on cool thing, and get bummed out. Yeah, well, it's a sense of jealousy, but it's also a sense of just... it creates two different tiers of players, or three different tiers. If there's like people willing to spend up to $500 versus players willing to spend 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000. Like, again, I just, as a matter of principle, I don't like the idea that having a bigger wallet means you can do things that people with smaller wallets can't do. Like, I feel like there are certain things like gaming, I think gaming should be free of that, personally. He goes on with this. This is not a new system. This is in response to 2440. This is in response to the persistent entity stuff. Really impressive. It's called persistent entity streaming. And basically what they're trying, this is what I outlined in this video or earlier in the video or segment, I guess, which is leave the water bottle in the cave, come back, find it later, all of that stuff. He says, this is not a new system, just for the record, but again, I'm glad you're mentioning it because generally showing off a lot of tech Star Citizen has. This is a bit beyond the scope of the game itself, but the tech coming out of Star Citizen is a major reason why I personally have had no qualm funding the project. It's one of the few large budget games, possibly the only one, depending on how you define large budget, that's actually pushing tech and gaming in any sort of real direction. And it's far better, in my humble opinion, than feeding Activision more money for making the same game they did 10 years ago, but slightly worse. So they still have something to sell you next year. At this point, I really don't even mind if Star Citizen comes out bad. I've had my money's worth of fun and interesting experiences already, and they've paved the way for others to build out their dream projects. At this point, if Star Citizen is good, which I still think it will be, that's just icing on the cake. And frankly, this is the correct mindset to have if you're spending money in a game like this. Don't spend money on the promise of something in the future. Spend money on it if you like what it is currently. You know, if he's spent, you know, hundreds or thousands or whatever on the game and he feels like he's gotten his money out of it, great. That's ultimately what you would hope for. What irks me is when people, like, you know, are spending tons of money and they're like, well, it's because, like, eventually I'm going to get the ship, you know. Eventually I'm going to get the ship. Which it was a thing. I remember seeing a video back in like 2014, 15 of a guy that worked at The Know. I've mentioned this guy before. Gus. He worked with Rooster Teeth. Yeah, this guy. Gus Sorolla. I remember seeing a clip of him talking about Star Citizen in like 2015 on the old channel The Know. Do you remember The Know? It was like old school. I mean, not that old school, but it was like a gaming news show that was baller. The Know. Yeah, look at that. The Know. And on this episode, they at one point called in Gus because they were talking about Star Citizen, and Gus had spent something like, you know, $800 or something on a ship, or $1,200 on a ship or something. And they were saying that, like, how did you spend that money? He's like, well, I bought the ship, and when it's done, it'll be cool. It was like specifically when it's done. It's not done. So I'm buying the promise of a ship. And I wonder what ship it was. I could go back and find that clip if it even still exists. Might have been like delisted because The Know doesn't really exist anymore. But I wonder if that ship ever came out or if he's still waiting for it. But that's the thing, is a lot of people bought the promise of ships and the promise of things way back in the day. And we're just hoping to get it out. And I hate that kind of thing. But if you spend money in the game, you got what you think is worth it. That's cool. The next thing, 2720, is about Blades, I believe. And so there was a whole uproar. They walked it back, and then apparently they just walked back their walking back of it in the last handful of months. And it now looks like they're probably going to keep doing that, or revamp it and rebrand it into something else. But specifically, this is in reference to the Blades. Basically, back in, I believe it was May, maybe April, there was a whole thing where they started to outline how they were going to charge for Blades, which are augmentations for your ship, helps them to like go faster, have more maneuverability, whatever. So if you're willing to spend more money, your ship could literally do things that people who weren't spending money could do, which was something they said they would not do, and then they started to do it. Oops. So there's a bunch of uproar, and it's the video I made like 5-6 months ago on Star Citizen specifically, where it was like, you know, they've gone too far. They've overstepped their bounds, and even Star Citizen fans are getting outraged. And it was, I mean, they did walk it back. But when I was speaking to another creator, specifically a content creator who makes Star Citizen stuff exclusively, he had communicated to me that it looked like they were going to revamp that and bring it back, and Blades would be making a return. I will acknowledge this is something I could have been more precise about or had a direct source to quote or whatever. But basically it seems like they initially shut it down because of the outrage, and there's been rumblings and small comments made by them that have suggested that they will revamp the Blade system into something new that will allow them to potentially sell it again. But I agree, I could have been more precise there. I'm not sure where you're getting this from. As far as I'm aware, blades are no longer purchasable for real money. And also, I'm also pretty sure that they're currently purchasable in in-game shops. All in all, I don't actually consider CIG to be particularly greedy, especially when compared to what is now essentially standard AAA business practice in the likes of EA, Activision, or whoever else. I will say, for one, it is funny saying that CIG doesn't strike you as greedy after raising $900 million and still not having the game out. Setting that aside, this also to me just seems like a like I don't think two wrongs make a right. Like, you earlier in the comment, you were describing how you don't like EA and Activision. You think it's better to spend money on something like Star Citizen as opposed to giving it to Activision, implying that what Activision is doing is bad and you don't like it. When you're saying, like, especially like it's not particularly greedy, especially when you compare it to EA or Activision. So like you're putting CIG in the same category as the company you don't like and say is like predatory and unreasonable. So like, which is it? You know, all I ask for is consistency. Like, if you're okay with the company being greedy and selling gameplay affecting stuff to milk money out of people, that's okay. If you're okay with that, okay. Clearly a lot of people are, because those games make tons of money. But let's not pretend that like CIG is special or exceptional when you then later compare them to EA and Activision in a later point. Like, let's be consistent. Either it seems to me like either they're all greedy or like stepping over the line, or all of them are totally fine. I don't think you can be super selective with it, especially because in earlier comments you're also suggesting, I find it slightly suspicious how long it's taken for this glitch to be fixed, suggesting that they are intentionally not fixing a bug because it allows them to milk their own fans for more money. You know, it's not great. Anyway, continuing on, at 2833, 2833. Oh, this was in response to this. Whoops. Explanation I just did. I don't think the average gamer gives a crap. I don't think they give two craps what the explanation is, or, well, actually, you don't even need to do that. I don't think they care. All they're gonna notice is how you're selling $1,000 ship that is way cooler than the starter ship. And if this player only had more money to throw at the game, they could have that really cool, awesome ship. And that's just going to be the persistent problem within the persistent universe for a while. And personally, yeah, I think the optics is one of the big problems. LMAO, yes, pretty much. But I also think it's nonetheless an important aspect to mention if your intent is to be candid and truthful. That like, you're able to grind for the ships. You don't have to spend real world money on it and all that. Yeah, it's true. It's just like, it reminds me of the old saying in politics where it's, if you're explaining, you're losing. And I think that that's also true in marketing in general. If you have to explain something to your customers, you've already lost. Like, you're already starting to spend time trying to justify and untangle a web and a knot when you could have just put it out with no knots, you know? And in this case, I think with Star Citizen, in order to explain why it's not as like, if you have to spend a lot of time explaining how your game is not a scam, you've already lost, okay? Because if that's where people are starting from, there's been some major misstep, you know? Because you look at something like, I don't know, The Witcher 3. Like, if somebody says, how is The Witcher 3 not a scam? People are like, what are you talking about? What do you even mean? Can you explain to me why Red Dead Redemption 2 is not a scam? Because it seems like one to me. People be like, what the hell are you talking about? It wouldn't even make sense. But when people flip it and it's like, can you explain to me how The Day Before is not a scam? They'd have to do a good amount of explaining, because it really seems like a scam. You know, like it's really seems like a scam. Dude, I forgot. Oh, that whole saga was so fascinating, especially when it was revealed like this game seems too good to be true, but it also seems like a scam. And then they're like, yeah, well, our volunteer developers are working really hard. And you're like, sorry, what? They're like, yeah, all of our developers are volunteers. What? Dude, those are the days. That was crazy. Oh man. Anyway, continuing on. Last comment, last bit. 3345. Yes, probably did. Okay. 3345. Let's see what this was in response to. 3345. Okay, let's see. Oh, this was in response to specifically this guy, Jared, who is one of the directors on, or like head people working on Squadron 42, which is the single player variation and version of the game. When he said that he didn't know if they would hit the 2026 release date and then try to walk it back, wouldn't still be here. It sounds to me like they asked him to try and walk back that statement because people immediately started freaking out on their forums, as PC Gamer showcased in these comments, where they like literally started bringing this up. Yeah, this shit's not coming out, man. That's so effing dumb. It's not coming out in 2026. This is so embarrassing. The community immediately started turning on them when he came out and said this, and he tries to walk it back. But again, like, I just don't know. I don't know how else to read this statement. I don't know if we're going to make it immediately after referring to the 2026 release date. Like, it sounds to me like you're like, yeah, no, we might delay, which shouldn't be an option at this point. It's 14 years after you started raising money for this game is when you're expected to release it, and you're still like, maybe. It's crazy. But that's, we'll get around to it. He said, yes, they probably did specifically ask him to walk it back. And what's the best way to enhance? No, that's not gonna work. Here, I'm gonna turn off the chat real quick so we can see it. Yes, they probably did, but I also believe Jared when he says he's trying to be honest. Jared has always been very open, perhaps a bit too open for a project as large and controversial as Star Citizen, but nonetheless, I think a lot of people, myself included, have always appreciated it. Regardless, in Jared's defense, I think it's pretty fair to try and temper expectations given CIG's history, even if CIG is very confident that Squadron 42 will release in 2026. God knows that Star Citizen development could be cataloged as a history of the number of times CIG was very confident they could release something on time, and some new problem or need came up and it got delayed. I would say it's also it's not just a matter of problems, it's feature creep. And like I said in a previous video on Star Citizen, they have created a game and a monetization scheme that incentivizes them never finishing the game, which is my bigger frustration about it. Is that if they ever finish Star Citizen, it will mean that they are like done, you know, so they need to release it officially into probably console markets and Steam, and potentially maybe they'll just keep it on their own launcher, probably, but whatever. They'll need to release it, and when they hit 1.0, that changes the dynamic. That means any of these other problems with like bugs that conveniently push people to spend more money, that needs to be fixed. They've also, I've been told, have made conflicting statements on whether or not they're going to strip out the paid ships when the game is done. They framed it in multiple times in the past over the last 12, 13, 14 years as the ships are a fundraising tactic, basically, but when the final game comes out, you won't be able to buy them for real money. You'll have to grind for them in game. That's been a suggestion some people have made, but then other people have made other suggestions, like it still will be there, but who knows what it actually ends up being. My point is they have a reason where they're making $100 to $150 million a year without finishing the game. And the stuff they've said about what they want to do when they finish the game would probably mean they make significantly less money than that. So I think they have an incentive to never finish it and to just keep coming up with new features, new things to add. And it's that feature creep that's caused Star Citizen to be delayed pretty much indefinitely. And it's because like every time they start to settle in on something, there is one more thing to do. They need to rebuild this, they need to redo that. There's always something more. And as you've seen in this response comment, the people who are big fans of the game are willing to tolerate it and even at times make excuses for it. Continuing on, hell, you could probably catalog many large projects as such. The only difference being that things don't get cut in this game when they run out of time. That's kind of the definition of feature creep. Like, most games are about build it, lock it down, build it, lock it down, build it, lock it down. And if we don't have time to lock it down and build it, it gets cut. Then you build it, lock it down. That's how game development works. But in the case of Star Citizen, what you have is build it, lock it down. Actually, never mind. We got to tweak that. Okay, lock it down. This thing, build it. Oh no, I broke both of them. Okay, we'll do. Okay, fix it. Okay, lock it down. Move those two over here. Okay, this one, build it. Oh no, this exploded. Like, that's Star Citizen in a nutshell. And shocker, 14 years on, the game still isn't done and regularly has bugs. I probably needn't tell you this, but game development is not something that meshes well with deadlines. Okay. Especially when Chris Roberts is so hell-bent on making his perfect game. I understand what he's saying. It doesn't mesh well with deadlines. I get that. Yes, it is tough because every developer would say they want more time. And I forget the original artist who said it, but there was some artist who said that you know, no project, no painting, no piece of art is ever finished. It's merely abandoned. And I think that that's probably true with video games too. If you gave developers like unlimited time, I think that they would work on it indefinitely. And I think that that's part of what helps games, well, release for one, but I think that it's also just a fact of making some artistic endeavor or pursuing some artistic endeavor. So I understand what you're saying. But I think, again, like, there is an incentive and there's been a system built up where Chris Roberts doesn't need to hit deadlines because there is always going to be another year of fundraising, another $100 to $150 million. And, you know, there's ultimately always the fallback, you know. It's kind of like that kid that graduated high school and like goes and can't hold down a job, and his family's like, bro, you gotta do it, you gotta get a job, you gotta move out. But it's the parent dynamic where they always will have a room ready for him. They're always gonna have, you know, they pay for his car, they pay for his cell phone, they pay for his insurance. So no matter what, he even gets an allowance every month. So even though what he probably needs is that kick in the pants to be like, nope, figure it out, go do it. Instead, he's just constantly getting like the handout and the pat on the head. Well, at least you tried. And I feel like the massive amounts of money that they fundraise is that pat on the head and is that allowance that allows them to just keep delaying and canceling. And again, it's so insane to me, and we're used to it with Star Citizen at this point, but it is so crazy to me that you can have a game that's been in development for 14 years. They announce a release date in 2024. They say in 2026, Squadron 42 comes out. And we're about to hit 2026, and they say, yeah, we don't know if we're going to hit the date. We're going to try, but we don't know. I'm like, 2 years ago? 2 years ago, we weren't sure? 2 years ago? I thought that was the whole point of announcing the release date. You know, was that you were sure? FLFL, thank you for being here. Says, yes, I will say I do find it very strange how long Squadron has taken, Star Citizen less so, but Squadron 42 taking 14 some years is pretty insane. Well, and at this point, I think it's also kind of crazy where I'm like, I think part of it, frankly, is that they want to have them reinforce. I think they want to reinforce each other. So you play Squadron 42 and that feeds players into Star Citizen and they kind of feed each other. So you play some Star Citizens like Persistent Universe and you're like, oh, I want to play this, but like more structured and linear and narrative. Go play Squadron 42. And then those people funnel into the Persistent Universe and it just kind of feeds back on itself. I do think that can work. And I do think that a decent idea. I don't know why it takes 14 years to do that. You know, but I think that part of that is that they wanted systems and they wanted the tech to be coherent across the two projects. So you play Squadron 42 and you understand how to play the persistent universe, you know. That's at least the idea. But I mean, I will say, I think it will be genuinely amazing if in like late next year they are able to release Squadron 42, and imagine it reviews well. Like, put yourself in the position where we're in the Game Awards era for 2026, and Squadron 42 was like one of the top rated games and people ate it up and loved it. That would be genuinely crazy to see, and I think that could change the narrative. What would be really funny is if they release next to GTA 6. You're right. That would be freaking hilarious if they tried to go head to head with GTA 6. Frankly, I mean, I would guess the average Star Citizen fan is not playing GTA 6. Maybe they are. But if you're really into like hard sci-fi, I'm not sure if there's a lot of crossover. But either way, I mean, I do really appreciate the time FLFL for I want to say falafel when I see FLFL, but I'm sure that's probably not what you meant. Falafel. But I do appreciate taking the time to do this. Again, I'm very humbled that anybody would take this much time and effort to respond to one of my videos. It's very, very humbling. But I do just think, again, Star Citizen is such a fascinating game, because it's got a lot of cool things with it. But then it's got other things that are just ridiculous. And I think the thing is that a lot of people are used to the ridiculousness if you are in the bubble, and if you've been in the universe and you've been in that community, everybody's used to it, but people on the outside are not. I also think that the interesting thing with Squadron 42, that I'll leave this on, they did a lot of motion capture, they did a lot of stuff for it, and I do think that this is currently like pretty solid, at least in terms of quality and everything. But again, like, the standards are different. The persistent universe is different in terms of tolerance for bugs and jankiness and performance issues. It's very different than the tolerance among single player, like FPS players, who are the people that are going to be probably buying this game. I think, like, if they can polish this up, get it running really well optimized and stuff, that will do really well. But if it runs anything like the persistent universe, oh my God, it will go badly. Will go badly.
Shish_IM_Invisibles donated $5. 2072. New delay to Star Citizen announced with new feature allowing players to taste the space tofu proving more difficult than anticipated.
Chris Roberts, who's like a head in a jar at that point, is like, we just really thought this was a good idea, and we're really excited for people to try it. The tofu tastes great, I'm told. We just can't get it working. Cheetah Duck, thank you for the 5 theory. Squadron 42 will release on Steam to try and be more mainstream. I do think that would be a very good idea. I think if they try to do a like launcher exclusive launch, that's a bad idea, just personally. Mainstream gamers, the idea, like, even if the game looks cool, the idea that they need to download a dedicated launcher and do that to play the game, like, unless it's a 10 out of 10 game, even then, maybe not. Yeah, like, you just got to remove the barrier to entry. Go on Steam. Every major publisher, Ubisoft, EA, everybody, they've gone crawling back to Steam. They got it. I mean, come on. This could go over really well. I mean, again, I think the production quality, everything looks really solid, but the performance has to be good, which I'm less confident in, considering I know how they've run the persistent universe, but we'll see. I'm also interested in how big it is. Like, if it ends up being, imagine after 14 years, if it's anything less than like 15 hours long, the memes will be glorious. It'll be glorious. FLFL, yeah, that's a big worry for me, seeing as they're doing major optimization improvements right now, around a year less from launch. Yeah, as long as they understand it. I mean, I think the My concern is just that they are also in their own bubble, and just because I think the Persistent Universe players are willing to tolerate jank, that does not mean the mainstream audience will tolerate it at all. They will not. I'll tell you right now. Even nowadays, when games are launching on PC and struggling to maintain like 60 FPS on most mainstream hardware, people mass downvote it, mass refund campaign, doesn't go over well. The Persistent Universe regularly, I can't get running above like 20 frames a second, dude. Like, it's rough. They've said 40 hours-ish. That's a solid length for a campaign. That is a very good length for a campaign. That's a big campaign. 40 hours, I'm a happy camper. 15 after 14 years, I'm like, they couldn't even do an hour. They could. Okay. Luke had a stroke. Reset. 14 years and they could only hit like 12 hours? They couldn't even do an hour per year that they worked on it, even though that's not how game development works. The memes. The memes, man, the memes. Pretty high, 30 months. Ooh, baby. You get 1 whip for that. No, you get 3 whips for that. And the nay-nay. Holy 30 months. Can't believe it, man. Any bold predictions for the Game Awards? Just wanted to say thanks for the years of great content you do, man. Yes, well, thank you for being here. 30 months is insane. Crazy. Thank you. As for crazy predictions, I want to hear everybody's chat predictions real quick in chat. What do you think is likely? I think Squadron 42. No, I mean, I think the obvious ones, like we're going to see probably a trailer for Saros. I think the odds are decently high we will see a Black Flag remake trailer. I think that's fairly likely. I've suggested to them for a long time they should shadow drop it like Oblivion. I just don't know if that's how Ubisoft does things. I don't think they like the idea of that. So I think that they'll market it. They'll do a big campaign. That is better for my business, but I think that it would be better for them and their business if they just shadow dropped it. But I'm not the God King of gaming. So I think that we'll probably see that. I do think that it's possible we see the God of War spin-off trailer. Because that's been rumored to be about this timeline. A Wolverine trailer, maybe. I think we could, no joke, probably see like a freaking marathon trailer. Time out, about right. It's not impossible.
Philip Pilgrim donated $10.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Luke. I've been following you for a long time, and as a Czech, I especially enjoyed your reactions to Kingdom Come.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Thanks for everything you do. And by the way, Todd is totally going to crawl out of that statue to announce a new Skyrim remake.
Dude, can you imagine if all of this, it's just a setup for Todd to come crawling out? That would be,
Or it being God of War.
that would be freaking funny. If it's just one more thing. This door just works. It's not impossible. Never doubt Todd. But yeah, as for what this is, I genuinely am not sure. I half expect it to be like a new IP from maybe this is freaking Sony Ben's game. Maybe this is who knows? Like it could be anything. But I don't know. Or a mobile game, yeah, exactly. It is a very cool thing though. I mean I appreciate the art direction. Could be Scorn too. Yeah, who knows? I know that whatever they're doing is expensive. So I doubt that it's like a very small budgeted thing. Like I think that this is a AAA thing, whatever it is, but we'll see. Jason Schreier said it's not Diablo. And Corey said earlier in stream that it's not God of War. So who knows? Or maybe he meant it's not Gears of War, as one of you guys mentioned. So who knows? Who knows? But time will tell. Time will tell. As for other predictions for it, yeah, I also agree. I think that Expedition 33 probably is going to sweep the Game Awards. I think that's probably a fair a fair guess. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, Destin's saying maybe Path of Exile 2. That to me I think is the most likely thing. I mean, I if I had to put money on it, it's probably PoE 2 stuff.
At MR Beard 798 donated 36 Qatari Riyals and 99 dirhams through Super Chat. Did you see the skins in Where Winds Meet? There's a skin that cost $90,000 skull.
Yeah, and the ship that's like 40 grand. Yeah, there's, well, to like, it's not like it's a single charge. You have to grind for it with like crafting materials that is estimated to cost that much unless you're super lucky. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, there is a lot in that game. And people are buying it, dude. Like, the whales are whaling. They really are. And golly, I'm the Juggernaut Glitch. What a name too. Just gifted 10 freaking memberships to the YouTube community. Welcome everybody who just got one. Get your booty over in the members only Discord. It's a good time. We also have, look at this. Look at this. Where did I put it? Pet appreciation. We have a pet appreciation channel. Look at Tyler. Tyler has a pet goat. And a pet pig. It's pretty freaking cute. So get over there. Get in the Discord. Connect your Discord account to your YouTube account in this case, or if you're a sub on Twitch, connect your Twitch sub or Twitch account to Discord, and you'll receive an auto invite. Okay, get your booty over there. Do it. You'll be happy. Do it. Like, I also like this one. This one reminds me of like a high school seniors photo. You know, like kneeling with the football. That's what this makes me think. It's very cute. That's from Scorpo Corpo. Very cute. There's a lot of very cute animals in here. Oh, lots of cutes ones. Oh, love the hat. F found a wasp. So there's that. Hey, it's pet appreciation. No judgment of what your pet is. No judgment. Do what you got to do. Anyway. So who knows? Who knows what that is? RPG veteran, thank you for the 2. Luke, Half-Life 3, please see. Half-Life 3, please see. Bungie also posted this. Okay. Destiny stuff. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Screen Time posted this. Did they get a comment from them? A separate comment? Or are they clipping from our stream? I don't know. Oh, that's interesting. Splinter Cell remake director has returned to Ubisoft to finish the game. Oh man. And then Luke retracted his super chat. I'm sorry I did not see it. Not sure what that was. Oh, he sent it again. Update on when the next main God of War game is. I don't think Corey would tell us, even if he knew, because I think he's working on something else. But my guess is next generation. I don't think it's till like 2028, 2029 would be my guess. Sorry, Pickle Tickle. Thank you for the super chat. Best LG 45 OLED settings to prevent burn-in. It's all automatic. Number one rule for OLED though, so it has built-in burn-in protection stuff, so don't be too stressed about it. But the number one cause for burn-in is long sustained, like, identical images. So like if you leave your computer on the same screen, or like we had it when I worked at Magnolia Home Theater. We had a TV that was burning, like it got burnt in the shape of like a fire because it had on the demo reel a fireplace burning. So it was high contrast, really bright next to really dark. So those pixels were turned off in the dark sections, but then the area that was lit up with the fire place burning was very bright, and so that burned in over the course of like a matter of a few months. But this is years ago. It's much better now. But the number one rule is if you don't want burn in, don't have the brightness maxed out. So don't leave it on identical images or videos. Like, don't use it as a digital fireplace. And don't max out the brightness. Other than that, you should be fine. They're way better than they used to be. Like 10 years ago, if you had an OLED, yeah, you should be worried. But nowadays, they're way, way better. But the other piece is you'll change your habits. If you are somebody that if you're somebody that leaves your monitor or TV on perpetually, maybe get out of that habit. Turn off your computer at night, or turn off the monitor, set up a screensaver to go black after an hour or something, stuff like that. Very few people have that problem, but I had a family member who they left their TV on for like, or their computer on for like days or weeks at a time on the same image, and don't do that. If you do that, you will have a bad time. Okay, you will. Geez, I'm Juggernaut. I'm the Juggernaut Glitch. Went over to Twitch and gifted another 10 subs over there. Golly, spread the love around. Spread the love around. That's fantastic. Welcome, everybody. And again, like I said, get your booties over in the Discord. Thank you, Juggernaut Glitch. Thank you. And also, Prime Elite, thank you for the sub. 3 months, ooh, baby. Thank you for that. Get your booties over to the Discord. Join us over there. It's fantastic. Thank you, Juggernaut. That's very, very generous. My goodness. And I love to see, Twitch getting some love, YouTube getting some love. Love to see it. Love to see it. It's fantastic. Fantastic, frankly. Fantastic. Let's see. What else did I have? I feel like I have one more thing. Oh, I did. I don't think I have time to do it. Let's see. We talked about that. We did that. Oh yeah, I was gonna, for some reason, I put a bunch of these Bigfoot clips in my stream bookmarks. It was just TikTok clips of Bigfoot sightings. I don't remember why I put this in my stream folder, but I did. Just chilling by a tree, selling beef jerky. So yeah, I don't know why I had that in here. I must have added this late at night. Whoa. Honestly, it's a pretty good comp. For some reason, I'll put stuff in there, and like when I'm putting it in there, I'm like, oh, we'll do a whole thing where I'm like looking at this and we compare it to other like videos and stuff. But like, I don't remember what my idea was for this segment. Like, was it literally just look at Bigfoot videos? Was that really the extent of my thought process? There's this one.
Startling footage tonight coming out of Northern California, where a local hiker captured video of what some are postulating could be the clearest look yet at a Sasquatch. The creature first appears to hide, before disappearing entirely. It has not been seen since.
Is that Shane Gillis? That's pretty great. Just hiding behind the tree. Oh. Anyway, so there you go. I don't know why I had those in there, but I did. Also, in case you were wondering, Where Winds Meet also apparently has a full building mode where people just like rebuilt entire castles. I didn't even realize that this was in the game when I was first talking about it, but yeah, it has like a whole building system for the late game that is very expansive. So there's that. That's insane. Who knew? There's also, this is even crazier. This is even crazier. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah. Where Winds Meet, the Chinese version of the game, as Dan's Gaming mentions, it's about a year ahead, so we'll get this eventually in the American version. But it has entire like a Zelda Tears of the Kingdom building mode that they've added. So players in China are actively playing with this, and then it's going to come to the States at some point. But they've just added an entire like crafting system. Because why not? The game is just insane, dude. It's insane. I don't even understand how they're doing it, but they just, it has like everything. It's ridiculous. Let's see. Kyle, Renegades launches tomorrow on my birthday. Hells yeah. Hells yeah. Happy birthday, dude. Happy early birthday. Thank you. Okay. At some point, a Sasquatch could give you a hug and say, no one will believe you, even if you get the footage. Dude, for real. Well, and in the age of AI, too, I don't think anybody would believe you, even if you got, like, pretty normal footage, you know? It's just crazy. Oh, this was the other thing I had to mention. I have to mention this, okay? I have to mention it. So, new mini segment. So one of the games we talked a lot about earlier this year was a little game called Mind's Eye. It launched to critical response, we'll say, and it didn't go over too well. It was pretty broken, didn't run well. It was super buggy, and it just had lots of issues. It was not ready. It was overpromised, undercooked. It was not great. So it ended up launching to one of the worst Metacritic scores of the year, maybe the worst. I mean, the year is not over yet, but didn't go over too great. And the studio was facing layoffs and all sorts of stuff. Well, they are attempting, instead of just hiding away and shutting down, they are now apparently trying to save it. They are doing multiple updates. They put it 50% off for Black Friday. Our latest update enhances the campaign with improved gameplay, introduces new bonus content, and expands building features for PC players. And they're doing multiple rounds of updates, and reportedly are going to try and overhaul it to save it and give it a second life. Now, the jokes write themselves. Okay, so as you can see, Rohan Carr retweeted this and said, hell no, they're pulling a Cyberpunk. And the responses are exactly what you would expect to the base tweet. Buy the game. Nope. No, I don't think I will. Nah, I'm good. You know, they're pretty much exactly what you would expect. But I do want to just say, frankly, this is genuinely a good thing, okay? If they are able to save it and to overhaul it to the point where it becomes a good game, that is good. The fact that they're not abandoning it and just running away is a good thing. It is a good thing. The concept was interesting. That's why people were talking about it. You know, people like the idea of a new IP, a brand new team coming in and trying to do something bold and different. People like that idea, which is why there was interest to begin with. The problem was it just wasn't ready. It wasn't done. It needed a lot of polish, needed a lot more work, a lot more systems and things. And if it had gotten those, maybe the story would have been very, very different. But it was rushed out the door. And as a result, it, you know, didn't do too hot. But if they can go back, they can work on it, overhaul it, and get it running the way that it needed to, and add in content that makes it a better game, that's awesome. And they deserve credit for that if they stick to it. Because a lot of other companies, after what went down with Mind's Eye, they would have very quickly just shut down, laid everybody off, and moved on. I mean, Concord made it, what, like a week? And then the whole studio was shut down. Like, that's kind of what I was expecting. But they're allegedly going to stick to it and try to fix it and overhaul it. And you know what? I will give them a chance, and I hope that they can wow me. As with everybody else, you know, I really hope that they can pull it off, because I think it would be, again, a cool thing. The one thing gamers love more than a disaster is a redemption story, and there are plenty of examples of it. It's just extremely expensive, difficult, and it requires also the core concept to be compelling enough that people are rooting for it. Cyberpunk, people loved the idea of the game. They wanted that game to be amazing, and then it was busted at launch. So when it was fixed, they got the game that they were hoping for. Same with No Man's Sky. And then they got even more, you know, they overhauled it, added tons of new content, but people loved the idea and the core concept. I personally don't know if the core concept and idea of Mind's Eye is compelling enough to see a redemption arc like that, but maybe it is. I'm not sure. I don't have the data that they have. But I do hope that they stick with it. They don't just lay off the whole team, and they try to overhaul it. But time will tell. Time will tell. But I did see that it is on sale. They are trying to overhaul it, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. As for everything else, it doesn't change the toxicity problems, because that was one of the other big frustrations and big talking points around Mind's Eye, was how toxic it was, and how toxic some of the leadership was. Like, they literally were trying to blame saboteurs for the failure of Mind's Eye, and that is patently insane. Like, they suggested that, they didn't say any of our names, but I believe it was the game director said that the people making negative videos, my video was like the biggest one out at the time talking about Mind's Eye, so he's talking about me. He suggested that I had been paid by Rockstar to talk badly about the game Mind's Eye, because they were worried that it would like affect GTA 6's performance, and they were like threatened by it. And like, I'm sorry, but to think that Rockstar was worried about Mind's Eye raining on their parade and taking some of their market share, like, to say that is delusional. Like, that is craziness. Okay? It's craziness. Especially when the game is like obviously busted and broken and buggy and needs more time. Like, to suggest that the only reason it failed was because Rockstar paid people like me to make videos. Like, what? And also, like, the types of videos we make, YouTubers like me talking about these games, we have to have the content. So like, are you suggesting I also faked bugs and performance issues and faked, like, I collaborated with Maddie and had Maddie attend the preview event, and he just made up things about the performance of the game? Like, you're talking about a giga conspiracy to take down Mind's Eye. Like, what? Like, it's so crazy. It's insane. No, I was not paid by Rockstar to go and take down Mind's Eye. No. Like, but that's what was being suggested. So as long as that leadership is there, I'm not too confident in their capabilities, but you know, time will tell. Maybe they'll wow us. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, I don't know. GTA was delayed after Mind's Eye came out. Yeah. How much did you get, King? Not enough, apparently. I was like, I remember when the news broke, I was like, damn it, I could have gotten paid. I was doing the video anyways. Damn it. Oh, gotta get my Rockstar contact. Like, it's just crazy. It's ridiculous. Oh, anyway. Well, let's see. I read that one. Let's see. Okay, caught up there. Okay. It failed because it tried to advertise as better GTA. If I remember correctly, almost everyone was calling it GTA Killer. They advertised too high. Well, and initially I was like, I don't know, are they calling themselves, like, are they putting themselves in the GTA category? Because they weren't doing that on certain platforms. But I saw on Reddit, they were promoting posts that said it was a great game to hold yourself over before GTA. It was like an alternative to GTA to give you a GTA fix until that game came out. And I'm sorry, when you put yourself in the ring with a rabid gorilla, which is GTA 6, and you are a small 40-pound gazelle, you shouldn't be surprised when you get thrown around like a rag doll. You know? Let's also say this gorilla is a carnivore. Okay, let's just say that for the sake of argument. You're putting yourself into a situation where you are going to lose. You just are. And it's kind of low-key delusional to pretend otherwise. You know, like it's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway. Candace going live, gotta go. Love you all. Good to see you, my friend. Glad to have you here. GTA 6 is more like Super Saiyan Rage metaphor, let's be honest, dude. Yeah, kind of. It's like GTA 6 is the bubbling volcano, and Mind's Eye was the ring getting cast in. I don't know, man. Anyway. So there you go. Mind's Eye. Maybe in a year we'll be talking about the overhaul and how great it is. I don't know. Okay. Well, everybody, I'm going to call it there. I'm going to go take puppers on a walk. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. We're going to be back on Wednesday, rocking and rolling. It's going to be great. We are in December, ladies and gents. We are here. That means we are in the home stretch before the Game Awards. So buckle up, buckaroo for that. I think we're going to do a segment on Wednesday or Friday, one of the days. And we're going to discuss predictions and all that stuff. So get the gears turning. Think about that, because we're going to do that overhaul. Again, thank you, Juggernaut, for the gifted subs and members. That was very generous of you. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you later. Yes, indeed. Audentis Fortuna Juvat. Indeed. Much love, everybody. We'll see you soon. Mwah, baby.